allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bart, roll call, please.
Mayor Feldman.
Here.
Councilmember Robinson.
Here.
Joe Nolan.
Here.
Robert Bowler.
Here.
Kara Hudson. Here.
Okay, moving on to tonight's adopted agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
We have to add.
Are we doing a consent agenda, aren't we?
We have to add.
I have to add that on the agenda, then I get into the consent agenda? Is that how it is?
To bring on the adopt agenda. Categories
Okay,
created.
then I'd like to make a motion to adopt tonight's Lions liquor approval for Pioneer Days. Is that sufficient enough, or do I need more than that? Sufficient? Do I have a motion to add that on to tonight's agenda? I don't want to fight here, so. Okay, Councilmember Hood makes the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Councilmember Robinson makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now, do I have a motion tonight to adopt tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make that.
Councilmember Yobar makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Powell makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on tonight, I want to say to the audience here, we have a meeting open to the public. I don't know if Barb, our city clerk, can explain to everybody, but we have an open hearing only on the Kings Highway Riverbank assessment. That's the open hearing portion. So on the special business on the DNR variance, if there's anybody here about that, I'm going to ask you to please hold your comments to the second meeting open to the public so you can hear the presentation and get the facts as they are. So at that point here, do we have anything with meeting open to the public to begin with?
Well, we had 3 people sign up for the Riverbank Lane Street assessment, and they said they would have opportunity.
For the open hearing?
Yeah, the open hearing. And so we had one other person that signed up, Justin Miller.
No.
Only if you have nothing to do with Riverbank or the variance.
Nothing at all. I just wanted to appear before the council tonight to,
Name and address.
I'm sorry, Justin Miller, 1940, 237th Avenue, Northwest. I know I've spoken to Kevin a little bit, with Mr. Robinson, on beekeeping in the city here. I know that he's done some work on it, and I'd like to encourage the council to take up that issue and look at it again. We have one of the stricter ordinances around. Most of the cities around us don't have an ordinance around beekeeping. And I would just encourage you to allow smaller landowners to keep bees.
Well, can I ask you what size lot do you have?
2.5 acres.
Okay. And you'd be interested in doing something that's...
I would. I think there's some environmental benefits from that. I think there's also some benefits to my kids learning a little bit more about how the land works and things like that. So.
Well, I know we have a work session, Joe, coming up, a week from today. And I think we would always have other business we can discuss.
Yeah, we have, it's a pretty full work session, so we were gonna try and take the beekeeping to the next work session that we set up. I think we have, just from memory, 8 or 9 topics on that work session already. So I mean, we can put it on there, but I don't know.
Well, we'll leave it on other business. We'll try to get to it. If not, we'll make it specific to another work session.
Yeah, I completely understand. There's more important business in front of council, but this is something I think that is.
Right, and we'd like to discuss it through a work session so that we can get the facts out before we bring it to the next stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, anyone else?
No.
Okay, and we're going to move on to a special business, the DNR variance request presentation. I'm going to turn on the lights and we can go on this.
Well, I hope everybody is able to hear me. You're probably here because for this topic, if you got a notice from the DNR or maybe even the city. So we wanted to invite people here tonight to see what exactly this all means, the impact of the city, some of the moving pieces with this request that the city has into the DNR. So I kind of started from the beginning and I formatted the presentation in kind of a question and answer type format, trying to address some of the initial concerns that I heard out there. And I'm going to start very basic as to what is a DNR overlay district. Basically, the DNR has authority from the state of Minnesota to create administrative rules. This particular rule dictates how land is developed within the district. This basically removes local decision-making, so the city doesn't have much say as to what kind of development can happen in there because the DNR has already determined that. There's really little ability to change the rules unless it's through legislative action or a variance request like the city had pursued a month or two ago. So what is a variance? It's basically just the fact or quality of being different, divergent, or inconsistent. Since it's so difficult to write land use rules because of some development that's already occurred, natural resources, things like that, it's hard to make rules that are going to apply to every particular situation. As you can see, I have a number of different examples on there that can affect what a new development might do, if there's a building close, or if there's a river or a wetland. It's hard to determine all that, so you can't write blanket rules. So they typically have a variance process for land use districts. Cities routinely approve variance requests to allow different developments to go through, and that gives the outlet to kind of review things on a case-by-case basis, if you will, if you meet certain variance standards. So what is the Wild and Scenic Overlay District? That was adopted by the Rum River in 1978. There's basically two designations that covers just about the entire river. There's urban and rural. The district can range from 320 feet from the river to almost a half a mile at 2,300 feet, which is the situation the city of St. Francis is in. The rural district goes quite a ways away from where the actual Rum River lies, which you'll see in a map here coming forward. So why do they have urban and rural? You know, it was adopted about 40 years ago, and at that time they set aside the urban because some areas were considerably developed, have or soon will have public sewer and water available. So they did acknowledge that water and sewer utilities would be approaching or having, I should say, occurring within this district, and that's why they have the urban and rural. Here we are today, 40 years after the rules were written, and our utilities have caught up to the rural district, as you see in this map right here. As you can see, the purple here, that is existing city water and sewer. Right here is the proposed area that's going to be developed, and then it goes up into here, which is in the rural district standard. So they did try to accommodate water and sewer growth when they made this Wild and Scenic District overlay, but here we are today where the two are kind of coming together, if you will, and that's the position the city is in right now. So, as I kind of stated before, the northern half of St. Francis is in the rural district, and the southern half is in the urban district. The rural district to the north is approximately 500 acres. So here's a map showing the district overlay. The red here, that's going to be the rural district around the river. As you can see, it's more on the easterly portion and extends to almost about a half mile to the east, following the river. The westerly portion, it's more urban because the break is right about here as opposed to down here. And then this whole southern portion is outlined in blue, and that is the urban district standards. Still within the Wild and Scenic Overlay, just different development standards. Subject property, again, is right here, and a substantial portion of that falls into the urban district. And then this northerly portion right here is going to be into the rural standards. So the city utilities are literally meeting these rural standards, and we'll touch more on that as we go forward. So what does it matter? Basically, if there was a 100-acre portion, which is approximately what this particular piece of land is, the rural standards allow for 1 home per 2.5 acres, or 40 homes. The urban standards would allow for approximately 220 homes on that same 100 acres. So why would you want more homes here? Assuming it was a rural development at $500,000 market value, that would add effectively a tax base to the city of $20 million if that was all developed out. Assuming the urban development at 220 units with an average price of, let's say, $300,000, that would add to the tax base to $66 million. So as you can see, Using the development standards from the urban standards on the same piece of land is a 230% increase on the tax value on that one portion of land. So getting into it a little bit further, in 2019, the whole city's estimated market value is about $588 million. If it were to be developed out at the rural standards with that $20 million increase in market value, you're looking at a 3.4% increase in the estimated market value. Going on that same scenario, but with the urban standards, you're looking at an 11.2% increase in the estimated market value, tax base, whatever you really want to call it. So all within the same amount of land, effectively larger tax base, in theory, brings taxes down because there's more pie, so to speak, to be spread around amongst the city. So is this all about money? No, it's not. I mean, obviously it's more economical based on the scenario that I just put before you to develop with the urban standards. However, if there was a rural development to come in, you're looking at 40 septic systems and 40 more wells to be drilled on that particular 100-acre piece of land if it were developed that way. Whereas the urban development allows for city sewer and water, and providing city sewer and water to 2.5-acre lots just is not cost effective to the developer or probably even the city. So it's got to be either well and septic at the rural standards or city sewer and water at the urban standards. Unfortunately, you can't really have both. So some more environmental things with this. So the city is proposing to the DNR to reestablish any disturbed buffer to the tune of an average of 60 feet from the ordinary high water mark, which is basically the river. And I'll show you a map of what's going on out there today. This would reestablish some of the native vegetation that no longer exists, whether from agricultural use or development uses, which could enhance views from the river, could help enhance water quality, and could decrease erosion potential. The city is also committed to maintaining a 60-foot buffer of native vegetation as well. So here's a map of the actual particular property that's kind of, that is the reason that a lot of us are here today talking about this. It's a little bit hard to tell on this map, but with the city's self-imposed conditions, we would reestablish this area here to be native vegetation. This is not the only area that's disturbed almost right up to the edge. There are several other areas, but the city is proposing that if this were to be developed in urban standards, that this stuff would be restored to native vegetation. Is this all part of the wastewater plant? No, it's not. You know, it's acknowledged that if this were to turn urban, it's definitely beneficial to water and sewer users and the utility system in general. But the developer of this particular property has indicated that rural development on that portion of land just really probably isn't economically feasible at this time. So seemingly there's either more demand for urban or land prices would have to be reduced if they can't make money on developing it, right? So those are kind of the pressures that people are feeling out with the development world. Again, I just wanted to, I wish I probably would have had a better map here, but this area, again, is slated for urban all the way through the purple here. And then this one small section is the area in question that the developer has rights to and is kind of putting the whole development in jeopardy at this point for being urban development. So the potential impact of urban-rural densities, as I noted in my example, there's a smaller tax base with the rural development with these standards. That's just by the nature of it. The city has done a number of commercial business market studies. They all hit on population, they all hit on household income. With more homes, there's more people, and there's more income. So the indication there is the more the city grows, more potential businesses that will come here, more jobs, more services provided to residents within the immediate St. Francis area. So growth and continuing to grow is a positive thing for the commercial growth of the city as well. So one common question I've gotten is, because we sent out those maps, are we making this land develop per, if we get these variants, it's gotta go forward? The answer is no, absolutely not. Private property owners have all the right to keep their property as is, but this creates more flexibility for the landowners going forward, creates more dense development and growth for the city. This provides actually much more options for the city going forward, should owners potentially develop or sell their land. So the city's not making anybody do anything, but the impact of this is that the land does become more valuable and then does become more dense and able to grow the community is the overall. So another question that has come up quite a bit, if this is just affecting that one small district that I had outlined with the pointer, why is the city asking for variances from all 500 acres? In short, no one's ever requested a variance from the Wild Scenic and Recreation Overlay District from the DNR. This is not something the city wants to be doing every year. The reality is we need to plan, and we need to plan for either future significant growth or more stagnant growth. And the reality is we have 500 acres of potentially developable land sitting right next to our utility system. And if that's never going to expand, the city does probably have to reevaluate some of the planning going forward and adapt to that. So the city wants to know, is this going to be future urban or future rural or maybe just never develop? And it's critical when the city does financial planning or does asset management, we need to know these things so that we can anticipate things that may come up. What if the DNR denies the variances? Potentially stagnant population growth and commercial growth, lost potential to expand the tax base, lost potential to reduce water and sewer rates, lost potential to enhance the disturbed portions of the buffer that I had mentioned earlier, and then we would have more monitoring by city staff of septic systems. So another thing I've heard quite a bit about is why doesn't the city develop to the east or west? Let's just forget the north, leave that alone and go, outside. Essentially, it's extremely difficult, if not altogether cost prohibitive. So if you see these red lines here, unfortunately most of the map is green, but these are huge wetland systems. And if you know about development, wetlands are developed around, not over. So if you ever wonder why streets are curving a certain way, it's probably because there's a wetland adjacent to it. In addition, if you see here, a lot of these are rural development where it's multiple units and it's basically surrounds the easterly and westerly portion of the city's utility system. So the reality of going east or west is unlikely, to be quite frank. North is the most realistic option for development for the city. So, unless all these, I don't know if they're 5 or 10 acres, if all of these homes turn over to a more dense development, it makes economical sense to provide water and sewer to, which we've talked to some people, and they said they've never seen that happen. So I just wanted to tell you what I know, that's it. People that have worked in this say they've never seen well said that it transformed into urban development. So, especially at this density level that we have here. So what does the rest of the Rum River look like? Basically, we have Anoka and Cambridge. Here's St. Francis right here. As you can see, almost all of Anoka is for urban. Significant portions of Cambridge are slated for urban. Half of St. Francis is urban, and then in the yellow would be the subject area that we're talking about right now. So just to give it a visual as to what the entire, or not a snapshot of what the Rum River looks like. So what to do now? I guess basically if you agree with some of the things that were presented here, the future growth, tax base, water and sewer, enhancing the buffer, the city strongly urges the public to email the DNR. If you don't agree with it, then you don't have to do that, and you can come up with some language to protest this particular request. We did think it was extremely important that we got all the facts out there and what this truly means to the future of the city. I think there's a lot of misinformation being spread out as to why the city's doing this. The facts were right there in front of you tonight, so hopefully it helps give you a comprehensive opinion to formulate if you decide to comment to the DNR. So it's kind of a critical junction for the city of St. Francis. Like I said, it's going to be probably more stagnant growth versus, a solid growth projection going forward. So I just want everybody to know and make an informed decision, like I said. So that is basically, we have some sample language there if you do agree with the variances. And then timeline-wise, when does this all come to fruition? Basically, April 26th at 4:30 p.m. is the deadline for comment from the public. And then a decision will be made on May 21st. So we'll kind of know where we're at that time. That's why the city sent out the mailing. We thought it was critically important for people to know about this, get the word out there. It's kind of up to the public. We were told that the DNR would heavily weigh their decision-making based on public feedback. So the ball is in the public's court. We want to get the word out there. Hopefully you guys all get an opportunity to present your opinion to the DNR, but we certainly wanted to get all of the important factors out there for everyone to consider before they make the decision contacting the DNR. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you, Joe. Okay, and as I said before the meeting started, we will take any comments on that at the second meeting open to the public segment. Then we can move on to this open hearing for Riverbank, Kings Highway Riverbank. So moving on to that, do I want to start the hearing on the proposed assessment now, or do you want to pass some facts on that first?
Correct me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So just starting out, item 7A, 1, 2, and 3 are somewhat related. First, we'll have to hold a public hearing for the assessments. If the council wants to move this project forward, then they would consider adopting the assessment, which is agenda 7A2. And then it would make sense to approve the bids if the project's going to move forward. So starting with the public hearing, I just wanted to give some background a little bit where we're at on that before we open the public hearing. I actually put together a little project summary. I don't know if everyone got a copy. They're on the back table. Basically, the project hasn't changed much from what we discussed as far as the improvements at all the work sessions. There'll be complete driveway and roadway culvert removal and replacement. Driveway surfaces in general are removed to the right-of-way and then replaced to match the new profile. All the mailbox supports will be removed and put back with swing-away types, or the current city current standard, and all street signs will be removed and replaced. As far as new construction items, ditches will be constructed in general to the city standard. The profile will be revised where necessary for drainage. Curb and gutter will be added where necessary, mainly on Riverbank Lane. Storm sewer and catch basins will be added up, again, mainly on Riverbank Lane. There'll be one small retention pond on the north end of Riverbank Lane. The surfaces will be paved to city standards, current standards, which is 3.5 inches of asphalt. And then all the driveways will be paved back to the right of way, whether they're gravel. If they're concrete, they'll be matched back with concrete. If they're pavement, they'll be matched back with pavement. As far as the total cost, we do not have very good bids, as they have already realized. We only have three contractors interested in the project. The total project cost with overhead is $617,578. Half of that assessment is still being proposed, or half of that cost is being proposed to be assessed. So at 29 units, that's $10,647 per unit. I did do some evaluations of the bid, some more, and that's summarized on the bottom of that sheet. So basically, the feasibility was based on the 2018 contract prices for a similar project that we do in a neighboring community. So that first line is, it says based on 2018 unit prices So if this job in theory was bid in 2018, the construction cost should have come in at $429,240. You add the overhead of $70,000, you get a total of $499,240. So typically we see a 3% or so increase in construction bids. I use 5%, so if you use 5%, we should have seen a construction bid of about $450,702. Add the overhead, again, would anticipate a project cost of $520,702, which is 80% over what the feasibility had. We did see, of course, an actual construction bid of $547,548, adding overhead. Total project cost again $617,578 for a 28% increase over the feasibility. I guess I can't really explain that increase. I haven't seen something like that. All I can say is there's a tremendous amount of work out there in 2019. These types of projects are usually the most or least desirable. The three types of contractors: they like to move dirt, they like to pave, or they like to put in utilities. This kind of has all three and not much of either one, so not too many generals are interested in bidding these when there's so much work out there. So with that, that's kind of a summary of the project. I would recommend that the mayor open the public hearing for the assessments.
All right, before I do that, I want to clarify something on the paved driveways to right-of-way, so we understand that that's, with the culverts being redone at the lip of the opening of their driveway, we're only making sure that they go in 5 feet of a hard surface. They can retain their Class 5 recycle base after that, but they have to do 5 feet from the roadway in.
It ends up about 15 feet.
15 feet with that, okay. But after that, they can do what they wish.
It'll stay how it is.
Right, that's the way we break, having that recycle Class 5 come into the system. What you're trying to do is make a break of it.
Right.
Okay.
A, we want to match their driveways back up, and B, we don't want gravel driveways coming onto the road.
But one person before our work session was concerned that we're going to make it mandatory to finish all driveways out. We're not. Just the first 50 feet like you mentioned.
Correct.
And also, I just want to point out that on our sheet that you don't have, there was a 16.7% increase in mobilization and traffic control, a 50.7% increase in earthwork and subgrade preparation, 15% increase in bituminous paving, a 13.3% decrease in erosion control and restoration, 176.7% in concrete curb and gutter. And once again, we're only putting the gutter and curb where needed, correct?
Correct. And Mr. Mayor, just so you know, this is included in the packet.
Okay, all right, so I'm just going to say for audience and whoever doesn't have this. Catch basin and stormwater had a 36.6% increase. Miscellaneous construction, 116.9% increase. Driveway construction had a 26.8% increase. Overhead costs had a negative 4.9% decrease. Just to let you know, you got your packet, but I'm stating that for the audience that maybe you couldn't make it to the meeting. On that, I will open this. At 6:29, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone coming forth, please state your name and address. Anybody wishing to come up and talk? No. Anybody have an opinion that you could lend to the council on what you think about this at all? State your name and address, please.
Blaine Wright, 3419 Kings Highway Northwest. That retention pond, recycling where?
Craig?
It's going on the north end of Burbank Lane in the right of way. It's approximately about 2 feet deep.
Okay, so that'd be right next to the county line
It's the other way.
on the south end.
I'm sorry, is it the south end?
Yeah.
Yes, it's opposite of the the water that's running down the hill on Burbank.
All right. You know, the ditches need to be down, we know that. And I don't think Kings Highway the ditches will hold up without blacktop on it.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to come up and speak? It's your chance to say something to the council before a decision is made. Mike, come on, please.
Yeah, Mike Winkler, 24311 Riverbank Lane, Northwest. First of all, I speak for the majority of people back here, this is the ultimate sticker shock. And so it's quite a surprise, especially when you see numbers like you read out, 100-some%. I mean, it's like, whoa, where do we get process this? But following up with Wayne's statements here, whatever, that retention bond is going to be down at the end of Burbank Lane with the cul-de-sac.
Yes, I apologize, it's southwest.
Southwest. Isn't that land owned by somebody? Have we purchased that land?
It's all contained within the right of way that we own.
And it's 2 feet deep on it?
It's shallow, that's all we have room for, correct?
Right. Yeah. Seems like that's not a lot of retention capability to follow water. I think you talked to me earlier, you mentioned that up from where I live, that's going to be curved there, so all that water is going to go down.
Yeah. In general, the drainage is staying. We'll be collecting a little more that won't spill over Riverbank Lane towards the crest. But in general, that water already runs there.
Now, it's where there is any ditching and all the impressions between the driveways, it holds there. It has to get beyond those. And eventually, if it does rain or snow melt, it'll go around. Right now, a lot of that water's out there. It's good to be running.
Well, and some residents are banking up dirt to try to keep the water from eroding their driveways.
Oh, yeah. Now, every time it rains, I have to shovel in my driveway. Because the little driveway, 10 or 15 feet of gravel and sand. It moves that quick.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's my shovel to move it. Okay, I just, like I said, I just have concern about that, how much water is in the down there. Because if it overflows, it's under the river,
Correct.
from the ponds. Okay.
I want to mention to everybody that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but last year, in 2018, when you bid the project, there was more than 3 bidders. That's correct? There was more than 3 companies involved on the first time you bid it out, or? In 18 we were talking about, was there more people?
We did not.
We got bid out, we just want the feasibility study?
This is just a similar project we do in the neighboring community. Those are the unit prices we use.
All right, so then would I be correct in stating that one of the reasons you only had a few bidders was the fact that they had a lot of carryover projects from last year going to 19, and they weren't as hungry, basically?
There's just a tremendous amount of work this year. Just so you know, we bid the same project again in the neighboring community. They got similar bid prices that St. Francis did. They were slightly lower, but not much. So this type of project.
For something comparable to what we're doing here?
There was 540,000, it was very similar. This type of project is not very attractive this year. For what reason, I don't know, other than the ones I listed. I can't explain it, I guess. But this type of jump in unit prices is not anything I've ever seen. More than that, you rebid it and it comes back down, I couldn't tell you. It won't this year, if you rebid it next year if possible.
Any other open hearing comments from the public at all? Please come up, state your name and address.
I'm Diana Edwards, and I live at 17180 Bittersweet Street, but I'm here on behalf of my aunt, Martha Kirby, and she owns 100 acres that's part of this 500 acres. You talk about the retention pond. What happens with that curvature at the end of the road that it's supposed to be the right of way? If that doesn't pull back, and now it's going into the property and down and erodes it. What, has anybody talked to her about this? To my knowledge, no one has.
Which property is she?
She is the 100-acre farm.
But on which end are you?
Oh, what end are we on?
She's near 245th.
Yeah, 247, right up in the St. Karen line.
She's north of 245th.
Right up the St. Karen line. She's at Kings Ranch Road, right there, and she goes back in the property, comes back, cul-de-sac,
Just west of Homestead.
just west of cul-de-sac.
Oh, the large parcel to the west. Yeah,
The
again.
property runs right up to that cul-de-sac.
Sure. Again, in general, we're not changing the drainage. What goes there now still goes there. There'll just be a little bit of retention now before it goes off the end of the cul-de-sac.
So what impact does that have on that's retention, maybe overflows into that area?
Well, it will overflow because it does now. It all comes down the cul-de-sac and overflows into our property now. The hope is the retention pond will hold that water and retain it and infiltrate it, but it will still overflow to the west.
So what if there's erosion? More erosion. If you start putting tarps, roots, and all this stuff is running, you've got all the water in a bigger, a smaller area.
Right, and that's why we have the retention pond, but we'll have to address that if it happens.
I'd like to see that she would be notified, yeah, it's all sugar stands, it's all gonna just make a big mess. So I'd like to see that she get at least notified of it. Because that goes right against her property,
Sure.
so, thank you.
What is happening to it right now, Craig, you're saying? Right now, is anything changing with it? You're saying it's going to be a retention pond that will hold the water until it can infiltrate to the ground. What happens to it now? It just runs off?
Basically, the stuff from the north runs to Riverbank Lane and works its way down and goes to the west. And most of the stuff on the south works its way down, ditches, whatever, culverts. And again.
Right, but right today, we have culverts that are plugged and ditches that are too high and not deep enough as it is from the times I've looked at it, the pictures I've seen. And then you got a culvert pipe on top between Barb's house and Mike and Nancy Blood's house that will be underground with the sediment basket. That's going to be changed. So what I'm trying to say to you is that it's a bunch of changes all together that will make this work, not just ditches and culverts alone or the retention pond. It's all about working together. Is that correct or not?
Correct.
Does that make sense to anybody? If you have something to say, please come up. This is your open hearing for you. Name and address, please.
Brian Peterson, 24203 Riverbank Lane, and to continue the collection pond argument for discussion. I'm the host here between the collection pond and the river here, so I have very serious concerns about that additional runoff, especially with the David going in and on. Can you speak to that? My house being placed directly in the lane line between the collection pond and the river, so.
In what way?
Additional runoff. I mean, what endangerment is my house in now with potentially more water? Because I have no idea which direction is going to go out of this collection pond when it needs your statement overfills. I understand that it goes somewhere now, but with the accelerated payment, perhaps the dynamics of water collection, I have no guarantee right now that my house will not be affected as it's, in the path of least resistance from the collection pond down to the river itself now.
Sure. Again, it collects it, it retains it. Larger storms will overflow basically to the southwest. So everything is collected basically on the north side of the cul-de-sac. That's where most of the retention pond is. And then as it builds up far enough, it will overflow like it does now. Basically between your property and the property that we were just discussing.
So I mean, what guarantee as a homeowner do I have that you aren't going to change the dynamics of how water runs off and goes down and stay into my property? I mean, it doesn't take much reflection right now to change the dynamics. And with all this new proposed construction and collection pond, I hope you understand my concern.
Sure.
Of having a rather large body of water between, there in my house, lying between that and the river itself right now. So, I mean, is there any guarantee from the city that the dynamics, like I said, the runoff will not change with this proposed pond going in? That is a huge concern with the basin and everything else. I know other people have had water infiltration, due to some of our road issues and whatnot. So I'm looking for kind of a personal guarantee that you're not going to affect my house and any impact here.
Basically, we took the volume, the extra volume, and retaining it in the pond.
But what
what guarantees are they not changing the runoff dynamics in the city?
I guess I don't know what you mean by that.
How are they going to change the direction of the runoff to be redirected for the house? Because it's very close to the current runoff. We have not had any water issues, so you're talking about any changes would have a serious impact to the house.
I mean, we can go over it in the field, it'd be better, but in general, it overflows where it overflows now. And we were retaining the extra volume of water in the retention pond.
I understand that. I'm saying with all the new construction going in, if that is redirected in any way, my house is in serious jeopardy of runoff. That's what I'm trying to state here tonight. So I'm looking for your guarantee that you're not going to change the runoff direction whatsoever. So you, that's not what I'm saying.
We're likely changing for the better. I mean, you have some runoff now that basically goes through the south side of your house. That will get somewhat cut off and put into the retention pond first.
Well, the south side of my house is on the riverside, so it's really not runoff there, I guess. I mean, the east and west of my house is concerned as it runs from the south, but.
Right.
So I guess I'm not tracking your statement of the runoff to the south, but.
Well, yeah, it's just the south side of Riverbank Lane, on the east.
Okay. Fair enough. I just don't hear from the council that my house will not be affected in any other way with this runoff. And what the implications I feel with the construction. That's my sole concern on this whole.
Well, it's a retention pond.
Exactly,
That's the intent of the design, yes.
If
If it doesn't work, something will have to be dealt with. Yes.
on the city side. But,
Or mine, yeah.
okay. All right, fair enough, thank you.
Well, I think too what he's saying, I mean, here, is this the small lot there?
The last one, cul-de-sac, yes.
So it'd be right here, and the retention pond's gonna be to the southwest, where if it would drain southwest, it would be away from your house still, from what I've gathered.
Yeah, that's not what the previous master and the previous city council meetings showed.
We'll touch on driveways real quick. That was, I basically consider the gravel driveways that are currently there. Because in the current city code, it doesn't allow gravel driveways for a paved rural road. What kind of insurance would people have? Yeah, you guys can say that for okay, but put on next council or stuff like that. That was the point I had there. And then also kind of the price. We balked in the beginning when it was $8,000, and we said we'd revisit it if it was 10% over. Now we're 28% over. Now we're at $14,200 after financing. And that's
There's
a lot of money.
14,000. It's 10,674 per resident.
That's 3.68% for 15 years. 14,000.
You understand though, you're only paying that on half the amount.
Right, well, yeah, that's a lot of
The
money.
other half
for
is being carried by the city.
You're correct. So that's $30,000 per resident. That's a lot of money. And also with the construction costs rising everywhere, I just hope we don't get into a situation where like the $2 million of land we got in Fanning where all of a sudden it falls through and contracted a begging for city dollars next year or something like that. But we can't control that, so I think it's expensive. I'm sure that.
Anybody else that wants to get up and talk, please? This is your opportunity to do that.
David Jones, 4455 Great Lane. More than a year ago, we met a discussion was brought up about, and this goes to what I walked in and heard me talk about is the development of sewer and water from north and east and west. How far down the road is it? Because we had made the comment and the question was brought up, you guys would look into it. How far down the road would that be? Maybe we're going to make these roads in 10 years? You know, what's that number? You were going to look into it. I never heard the answer. If you guys can answer.
2040 is the estimated to get to the end of the use of boundaries within that district. We don't know for sure, but that's our estimate.
And that's only if growth justifies it. So, to expand USA, the municipal urban service area, is a very costly endeavor. So only if growth justifies that. And, you know, as we will say in the comments about, you know, the other area here, that only affects a small southern portion to date. The ability to go farther out there is going to be a good 25 years down the road. I mean, that's a fact. So I hope that answers your question. But there's no discussion about that as of today. You know, I want to ask again, is there anybody else that would like to come up and talk? This is your time to talk.
I just want to say, I don't think that microphone's working. I'm having a very difficult time hearing people.
We have a lot of hard times with the microphone.
I don't know if it's like it's not even turned on.
It's on.
It is.
I wish we were still on the board to help us correct it.
I've been out there for years.
I got something else.
Please, come up again.
Blaine Wright, 3419 East Highway Northwest. At ditch work, everything along Kings Highway, the drains, all east drains, you can go west, not down toward that holding pond. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
I think one of the things, you know, I will state here, one of the things that council's seen here through the multiple work sessions and discussions we've had is that right now the water runs pretty much where it wants to go. You have culverts that are plugged, like I say, ditches that are not dug out and high. The road is higher than it should be. So really what it comes down to is the water just basically goes wherever it wants to go. The whole object of this whole situation or this project is to try to guide the water where we want it to go. And that is why we're doing a combination of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, between ditches, culverts, curbs where necessary, and pavement, retention ponds, sediment baskets and whatnot. That's all designed to make the water go where we want it to go and then infiltrate into the ground. That isn't really being done now. You see your areas right now, and I have pictures of the culverts now plugged up and that. They're not working. They're worthless as it is right now. So the old intention, the old design of this is to get the water where we want it to go, which is away from your yards and then ultimately go into the ground. Anybody else want to come up and talk? Name and address, please.
Aaron Simonson, 24430 Riverbank Lane. So, I think it was maybe 3 meetings ago, we heard it was all or nothing with ditches and tar. If it's not all or nothing, I may be all not a fan of the price, but I can't address any issues in my yard and fixing drainage for my septic unless the ditches are fixed. So again, not a fan of the price, but I need something done.
Okay, thank you. By the way, the council's not a fan of the price either.
Yep. John, I just wanted to add, what assurances do we have? As I already said, you know, we're already 50% about what assurances do we have that it's not going to go another 10%. Once the project gets rolling, contractor runs into something unforeseen. I'm assuming that's what the $70,000 is. Is that built in as a buffer to cover some of those costs, or what? Once you guys vote on this, what do we have for a guarantee that we're not going to be stuck with any higher price?
Well, I guess there's no guarantee, but the council will have to order another assessment. Basically, tonight's it.
Right.
Unless they reassess it, the extra cost. There's no guarantee. I mean, the soil borings didn't hit any organic soils. It's somewhat of a straightforward project as far as that goes, but I guess I can't make any guarantees.
Okay, so if it costs anything more?
It could be less. Because it is a unit price job, so.
Okay, so that if the contract comes back and say, hey, we need another 50 grand to do whatever, that from the council says yes, no, or what?
Council can either say yes, we'll pay for that as a city, out of whatever fund, or they would reassess that amount.
Or we wouldn't do it.
Right.
But the
What if there's?
Yeah, I mean,
It depends on how much it affects the project total. I mean, if there's something that is absorbent, like gravel, an extra layer of gravel of some sort or whatever, that we feel just is not justifiable, like we've done in some other projects, then we'll have to look at it at that particular point. But there's no way to ensure, to guarantee 100% that that won't happen. I mean, it does happen.
We wouldn't start the project and then stop the entire project.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Well,
Right, for example-
that's, I agree, that's what I'm saying. You don't start, find out you got another $100,000, now,
If they start digging and they hit an old dump, I don't know,
Well,
scenario, but
yeah.
anything can happen, but there's no guarantees.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else that would like to come forward? Barb, please come state your name and address.
Barb Jenke, 24381 Riverbank Lane, operating there now. I live in an area where the water runoff hasn't particularly bothered me. It runs across my yard and then down into the river. Doesn't run up against my house. But other people have had tremendous issues. And so when I look at it, I think, from my perspective, I would just like to have a road that's not all bumpy and ripping up the underside of my car and having my, what was that you fixed, my exhaust system fall apart, and all sorts of things up with the vehicles, and also with our strange weather that we've been having. When it snows like this, you can't plow that stuff because it's all mushy underneath. Anyway, I'd like to see it cleaned up. I think it would really make our property more valuable and enhance our neighborhood to do so. And then fix the problems but most important, I think, is fixing the problems for the people that have drainage issues and damage that's being caused to their property because of how the water's running. I don't have that issue, but I think that I'd sure like to see that happen.
I want to say one thing about a cost increase. If it happens, it has to be justifiable cost increase. They just can't sit there and jack the price up because they feel like jacking up, so because of some oil in some country or something like that. It has to be a justifiable reason why the cost is going to be increased. In other words, like Craig said, if they dig something, they run into something or whatever, but it has to be a reasonable, justifiable cost increase.
How does it justify 28%?
Believe me, we're not happy about it any more than you are. We've tried to make this deal work out, and I'll go over everything this council has done to make this deal work out, and I'll tell you the options the council's facing. But right now, we have a public open hearing, so if anybody else wants to discuss anything else, it's your time to talk. Anybody?
Field, 24320 Riverbank Lane. You were saying that you contacted 3 companies and submitted the bids for 3 companies?
It's advertised basically publicly. Only 3 companies bid on it.
Is there any way of getting those names of those 3 companies?
Yes.
And how much are each?
It's actually in the information I submitted tonight, or it's handed out.
Yeah, I got that.
The bid tabulation is in the back. So we had North Valley, Russell, and US Site Works. The bid started at $547,000, went up to $621,000, and then $700,000.
Okay, I'll look at that. And I was wondering, is there any reason to just tell me that this other company was cheaper, or you did business with you guys before?
North Valley's a very good contractor. They've done a lot of work in St. Francis, and they are the low bidder.
So they did work before?
Yes, they actually did last year's project on the street surface in St. Francis. They're out of Maui.
And then the stuff that was right over here, the new development with the,
I don't know that for sure. They did not know.
Okay, let's see. Is there any way that the price could be cut anywhere at all? I mean, like, I don't know how many culverts you're gonna put in, you know, is it under everybody's driveway, or is it where needed?
Just where needed, not in the high spots, but
And
anyone that needs one's getting one,
And then the curbs are just where needed?
just where needed.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was.
We did think about that a little bit, I don't know. Talk a little bit about maybe going plastic culverts instead of the city standard is the galvanized aluminum.
And that would be cheaper.
I don't know, we'd have to ask the contractor.
And then how about the two people that have their houses on that same street? There's no way of assessing them?
Unfortunately, no.
Is there any way that driveways could be blocked out?
Lovely township for that place.
It's their driveways and don't you think they'd have to pay something? You know, because their driveway is on the road, just because of their houses are back.
But unfortunately, the St. Francis City Council has no authority to assess
You may as residents be able to go to that township and ask them, you may be able to do that, we've brought that up before, but council has no authority to do that. Believe me, and I just want to let you also know, we tried to look, I called Craig on this to see where we can cut back to make this work, but we're pretty much, it is what it is to make it work.
So the prices that went way up, I just don't understand that with feasible amount and how much it is, why it could be that far up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, when we had the meeting last fall, if $10,000 was thrown out there, it would never work. Because I know there's a few people that might have wanted it, but the majority of the people would say that's too much. So,
We were just as shocked as you.
Just a shot.
Like Craig said, it is per unit, so I'm hoping the engineering company that works the project is going to make sure that every unit is either used or it comes back to the residents. So if it comes in under bid, it gets done a lot sooner, let's say, and the cost is less, that's coming back to the residents. In my view.
and another thing I was wondering is, on the letter I got, why is it that you have to pay the amount right off the bat for, if you don't want to have the interest on it? Why until the project's done? I mean, because it said that the money had to be sent in by the end of April. Well, that don't give you much time to gather up that much money, you know, to not be charged.
That would be 2020.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Mayor, the letter says interest will start when the council adopts the assessment roll, which would be tonight, but council does have the leeway to waive that.
So you don't have a little time.
Until the end of the year, but yeah, you're correct, right now it's written up that interest starts when they adopt the assessment roll. But
That's just kind of city policies, and we don't want to rewrite something, our assessment
So
policies.
a person would have a little time. Because for me, I think I would just take it on my 401k because I'm 62, so I don't get a penny. You know, but I would give that for a couple months.
Well, actually, the interest starts, but when does the assessment doesn't actually start to be paid until 20, right?
To me, what we've always had to do is do a final assessment here at the end of the year after the project was almost final. And that's when we set it, and that's when we set the rate of interest. So you're saying that you're setting it rate tonight?
that's what the notices say, correct?
Okay.
What does the city say?
In the past, we've done a final assessment period later in the year.
Based on the final price, right? But it'd be based on the actual final price.
So that's what I've seen before. So it's new to me to say that they're doing it great for.
Is there any problem with that?
No, totally council decision.
All right, Joe, any problem? Dave, any problem with that? Well, then I guess that's a better way, I would think.
And then
We shouldn't assess till we know what the actual amount's gonna be. That makes sense.
And then you would set the date, and they have so many days, they got 30 days to pay it from that date without any interest. And then it would go be sent to the county and then be special assessment for the taxes.
Does that answer your question?
And then at that point too, if any year you can prepay what's remaining without any interest charge. Not what's on your, what the year that it's gone on your taxes, that's on your taxes. The remaining balance, if you pay it before November 1st, I think it is, you can prepay it, the whole balance, and take, and not have to pay any more interest. Okay?
So I think that's the right way to do it.
When you prepay, that only goes towards the part your interest work fee. The city is also paying a portion of this, with taking care of, right?
The city is paying half this amount.
Yes, so this,
You're only being assessed on the amount you're being charged.
that's all you're.
Yes. Yep.
Anyone else that would like to come forward? I'm gonna have two mics here, so I only got one mic for two mics. Three mics. Oh! I got one mic.
Mike Worth, 24-411 Riverbank Lane. This has been an ongoing problem for Xenia in particular for the last 30-odd years. We just saw a 28% increase in less than a year. What is it going to be next year? This is something we can't stop. Oil prices are going up. All you got to do is look at the gas pumps. Everything is going up. Nothing is going to go down. That's not going to happen. So I think, personally, let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike, please come up.
This may or may not be related to us. Recently, I observed soil testing company, top 240 tests going down the cornfield stuff. Is that anything to do with our project?
Craig?
Not that I know
Has it got anything to do with anything else? Anything else that's going on in your project that you know of?
Nothing to do with the variance that we're talking about, anything to do that we know of.
Okay. And who was responsible? Is it Isani Township or St. Francis for maintaining 245th?
Paul, can you tell me that one or anything?
It's currently a joint or shared road, so as we identify problems, we try and take care of them. I know the township also steps in and takes care of issues as they see them.
Because you probably heard this, it's deteriorating pretty good too. And this winter, spring, there was a lot of potholes emerged on there. In the last couple of years, they have been doing some patching, but I don't know who's doing the patching. But tell me, sir, if you got a hole, don't you kind of overfill that hole so the water can't get back in that depression again, even though it's been back, or even though it's been filled? But it seems like they're barely getting enough fill in there, still leaves the depression, still holds the water, and it opens up right away.
Sure.
And then just in the last couple of weeks, somebody's done some patching, but it seems like they hit one hole here, and they go 100 feet, there's another hole in this, and they go another 100 feet, so I was just wondering, and that's got to be attended to, otherwise they're going to be, your patch is going to turn into a whole overlay for the place. Going back to the Riverbank Lane Kids Highway, if this was approved in the near term, when will we get started? How long is it going to take?
I have not reached out to the contractor yet, but I would assume we'd want to get started this spring, probably May.
As soon as road restrictions are off?
Is his schedule open to beginning for one, or you?
I do not.
You don't know if it's, okay.
but it'd probably take 8 to 10 weeks.
Once the year started, it's 10 weeks worth of community.
Right, and we have road restrictions till when, Paul? May something, I think, or till the ground gets solid again?
I'm thinking all around there for 6 weeks.
That's a big factor too.
I'd still like to see that holding pond work, because that cul-de-sac, where you're going to talk about putting the holding pond from Brian's house, that's enough of a great unit to allow you out there to go down. And it's gonna run over, and I think the concerns of the lady there is if they're wrong, depending on how that holding pond allows the water to overflow, we're gonna have something that stops sand from resistant to the, some kind of rock spillway or something. That's just a thought.
Anyone else that would like to come up? Please.
All right, Brian Peterson, one more time here. Just again, to continue the cost discussion real quick. So I appreciate seeing three different bids here. Appreciate our taking a little bit. I think the comments made really well. Prices went up here. I think last fall when we talked about, so I asked for them for not to see them all right, because we were able to kind of form decisions on right. We were kind of shocked, obviously, with the super shock here. I know there's no guarantee, but I mean, North Valley, right, has open information, so has a better bid this, or these aren't sealed bids, I guess, or these are new.
Correct.
I mean,
They were open, sealed, and then open.
I understand, but it's in the open now, right? Correct. Right? So, as we talk about, knowing what this final assessment's going to be, having North Valley, I'm sure they're very reputable, honest individuals, but I mean, I guess I am concerned, right, that they are going to, perhaps be able to see this and, knowing a lot of money exchanged here. So, is there really no way to have a not to exceed cost for the residents on this lane here? Because I think I am scared what is going to be encumbered or else in the course of construction here, that the assessment will go up over time. And so that's something we asked for last fall, is not to exceed all, because we will be comfortable with, we can kind of sleep at night on. And is there any way for council to give us an update that?
That's not up to me.
Is that ever been done before, a type of project like this?
Not that I know.
Joe, comment?
I mean, some cities assess, and then it's a city project, there's no more assessments. It goes up, it goes up, it goes down, it goes down.
Right, and like I said about that on costs here, I mean, before, when the other engineering company was here, just to explain this, before our council came on, in the last term of that, we found some extra things that were brought forth on change orders that weren't authorized in that, and we had questions on that too. But we have a policy now in place with change orders that have to be approved by certain signatories, city administrator, our public works director, and council final approval. So they just can't come in here and just all of a sudden decide that they want to add $50,000 on to without justifying why they're doing that and how it benefits the project at large.
Yeah, I understand that. There's pretty good justification, and we all know how that works. So I guess that is a major concern, right, is the cost of development. Might get the nail on the head. I don't think anybody anticipates costs going down here, right? So I think the citizens on the street are just simply want to know what are we in for when we lock that price. Yeah, at least we still just had a 28% increase since last fall. And this is something we asked for last fall.
I mean, we could go back to North Valley and ask them that, and they may say yes, and they may just say, well, you know what, take your project and go somewhere else. They may just do that too. I don't know.
Well, I think that because of concern, that would be an indicator of imminent price increase if they said something like that, right? So I mean, I think that would be actually a great answer, but a answer of relief in some regards, maybe indicating that they would increase prices on us.
Yeah, they're not going to accept that condition because it's a unit price project. They're a reputable firm. They don't know what's, I mean, like I said, you hit a garbage dump. They're not going to guarantee the price that for an unknown subsurface, let's say, thing like that. But, I mean,
It's basically, Craig, is it not like basically like a time and material charge? You say a unit charge, it's basically time and material. You're paying for what you're getting.
Right, you got a ton of asphalt down.
You're paying for a ton of asphalt. You're not paying on a bulk rate. So it's not as though like a cement truck comes out with 3 cubic yards. You're not paying on a minimum load type of thing like this. You're getting, if you're buying 1,000 cubic yards, you're paying for 1,000 cubic yards. Right? I mean, if you're getting that, if you're not using it, you're not paying for it.
I understand what you're saying, but I really don't think we agree.
I doubt they will.
Well, I guess I'm presenting to the council as well. If there's any guarantee we do, I guess I'm urging you to kind of consider that from our standpoint. Right? Already looking at the 20% price increase. What can you do to help mitigate any further price increases? So the initial one for the price increases are in effect. Even if we're talking another couple months, potentially, right? You know what's gonna happen. Then on top of it all, see, demo and everything, entire project.
But their units are fixed now.
Those unit numbers are fixed, correct?
They can't raise their unit prices.
They can increase their entire bid price.
No. If they run into something where they have to remove some giant tank or something from the ground that they have no idea is there, something like that could affect the cost. I mean, there's a lot of unseen variables, but.
Yes, and you talk about maybe additional layers to go down, whatever, we simply don't, right? And that's the.
And they don't know as well as we don't know until you actually get into it.
Yeah, so I'm sometimes we can also wait to help us mitigate some.
Well, like I say, the unit prices are fixed, you're only paying for what you're getting and not anymore. You know, as Mike Blood brought up, I mean, you know, last year when we were talking about this project, gas was about $2.29, I think, something like that, $2.39. And all of a sudden, now you see the $2.75 as of today, $2.79. So oil prices are up, that's asphalt and that. So, I mean, inflation's in play here. But I'm going to give you, after the open hearing's closed, I will give you some options that we've come up with. And then talk about what the council's done as far as trying to make this work for you and go from there as best we can. Once again, is there anybody else that would like to come forth and say something? Anything? It's your time. You've asked for this time, you have this time. I would suggest taking advantage of this time.
Do I have to say my name again? I got one more question. Say like it come in at $50,000 less than what it was assessed for. Would the homeowners get the $50,000 or would you take that out of money that the city?
Darcy, would we split that 50 or just would it go to home?
That would be interesting.
Joe, what would you say? What?
We would bring that to you guys.
And then let us decide which way to go. All right. So I will say to you this without the decision from the council at that time, and hopefully we'll have to have that discussion. That would be wonderful. I don't think it would be any less than 50-50. We'll have to see how it works out. But we'd be open-minded, I'll put it like that. Okay. Because you are receiving a large portion of this from a MS4 fund. So you want to be right by the city at large, but we'll take it under consideration. So you at least receive 50%. Any other comments? Again, this is your time. Please.
Shane Starson, 24373 Riverbank Lane. When you're talking about making the pavement going to your driveway, you said they would go in like 15 feet from wherever the road was.
In general, yes.
So if there's any grade that has to get messed with in order to match what you have, do they take it down or do whatever they have to make it come in?
Correct.
What you're doing? Okay.
A lot of what's the grade changes on the south side of Riverbank Lane, the road drops into driveways, we're trying to correct as many of those as we can.
So in a lot of cases, the grade's gonna come down and then if you have to take it out.
You still likely be sloping towards your
Yeah,
garage.
there's some hump there, there's
Yeah.
some, you probably take it down
A
a
little
little
hump,
match
yeah.
a little bit. So then, the edge of the road has a little bit of miniature curving that kind of sets the road. So then that would be like the hump that would keep any more water from running over in the hump. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask was, we got some information from the DNR about changing the administrative rules, I guess. So is that all related?
No, that's a whole separate thing. We're talking about, that does nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Anybody else that would like to come forward? Anybody?
We just want to say that we're in favor of getting this done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody else want to come up one more time? This is your time. You asked for it. It's your time. All right, on that, I will close the open hearing up at 7:15. And after closing this up, I want to mention to everybody here, Prior to closing this meeting, I should have said here, but a public hearing, any property owner wishing to object to the project assessments must do so in writing to the city hall. Okay? Now, I want to go on to a couple of things, and I'll open this up for discussion here, but I want to state to you that this has been a long road here for you as the residents and us as the council. We've been working on this for well over a year with multiple work sessions, and that is nice to see more people than I've ever seen before at any of these. I'm glad about that. I want to tell you the things that the council's done here. We have initially, the initial discussion was a 10-year 5% assessment. We pushed that out to 15 years. We went with 3.68% based on a bond that we refinanced the Public Works Police Department building at 2.68, and per policy, we added 1% on that. We did not go out to the bond market today and revise that. We didn't do that. We've honored the 3.68. If we would have gone out to the bond market, the interest rate most likely would be higher, as we know rates have gone up since this all went into effect. So I just want to let you know that we are going to honor to 3.68, based again on a number of the 2.68 bond we pulled in 2017, I believe that was, Darcy. We refinanced, and then according again to policy, we had 1% on. That's how we came to the 3.68. So we changed the 10 years of 5% to 15 years and 3.68 to help out. Also, to let you know, the MS4 came into effect in 17. That now came down from the federal government to the state to the state for collection and the MPCA. So that was put into effect here in 17. We are now in our third year of assessment of billing for that. You are now reaping the rewards of that because you are the first main project of that. Had that not been done and that fund wasn't in place for you, you would be paying the full amount of $617,000 for this, and your assessment would be more like $158 a month for a long time, 15 years. So that is the benefit you get. Understand, one of the concerns I have is that 80% of this fund will be used for this project. We have worked within our policy guidelines, and we have discretion as a council. Our policy usually states 60% city and 40% for stormwater residents. We have changed that to 74% city and 26% residents. So we adjusted where we can, staying within our guidelines and our policies. But I want you just to know that you're getting a good sum of money from a majority of people that don't live where you live. There's 7,663 people here as of 2017, and you are just 29 residents. As I've stated all along in many work sessions, if you had 290 people here, these assessments, of course, would be lower, and you don't, okay? But of that, there's 7,600 and some other people that are paying towards that MS4 fund that you are receiving the first project from that fund. So I hope you understand, again, my concern is, do I think it should be done? Yes. I know you came to us with a problem, and we gave you a solution. I'm sorry it's taken this long, but you had concerns, we had concerns, and we are the financial, we are the fiduciary responsibility of the city's money, I'll put it like that. So we are giving you an amount of money here that will not be paid back. Half that money through this fund here. We feel it's justifiable because it is a stormwater related issue, and it's also a protection of the Rum River, which we feel is very important. So on that, I just again want you to understand, we have bent over backwards within our policy guidelines to make this work. Are we as shocked as you are about the prices? Yes, we are. But as, again, Mike stated earlier, we could take a chance. I've got 4 options that I've come up with, and I've talked to council about this and staff about this. We could rebid the project in 2020, grade your road, it does control your road only, and take our chances. That's what we could do. I don't have to agree with that, but that's a possibility. The residents, number 2 option would be you pay the due amount, which is $79.42 a month, based on an annual assessment of $952.69 over 15 years at 3.68%. Or we can do absolutely nothing. Or the council could vote tonight to go ahead with the project. So those are the 4 options. We have tried everything we can to see what we can do. Again, I've had communications with Craig on this to see where we can cut. He feels strongly, as I do, that cutting any part of it won't have an effect that will not give the full successful effect that we want of this thing. We want this to be done for you as well as us. Our goal long term would be to get rid of all paved roads. That will happen over a long period of time. So we're not getting rid of the grader just because we're paving your area. We're still going to have to deal with other miles of paved roads. But we hope this is a good start to do that, and we think it's necessary. We also agree, and again, I'm going to get discussion here from the council, but we also think that you're going to be able to enjoy your area much better. It should increase some of your property values there versus gravel road to a paved road and drainage problems being solved. And it also will make your houses more sellable versus gravel road. I'm sure some people came to us in meetings past, prior meetings, and last year they came to us and said they had their houses on the market and were having difficult times because of it being a gravel road. So that would be our thoughts, that would help you, not hurt you. It's kind of like when we put the roundabouts in and people complain and complain and complain, and now the roundabouts seem to be okay. So change is hard. I'm not saying that this is something we want to do. Of course, we're going to do it at the lower amount. And again, if the amount comes in lower, that will be passed on to savings either at 50-50 or as the council at that time will reevaluate it and go that route.
And it'll be a lot easier on our vehicles too. We have to think about that because it's a lot of wear and tear on our cars.
And then, just also to let you know, the council has been under discussion more times than once for doing something called a franchise fee down the road for roads to raise money that way. Other cities are doing it. Elk River is one of them. We are in discussion, but that would only affect paved roads. So if you were gravel and we changed over to a franchise fee, you wouldn't be part of it if you continue to be gravel. You would only be part of it if you go to a paved road. So we looked at this project and the total project as far as doing just the ditches, the culverts, and maintaining the gravel. We looked at it as the only real way to solve this is to make it all work together with ditches, culverts, retention pond, sediment baskets underneath that new culvert that will be marked. You won't see that above your ground, it'll be below the ground, and then curbs where needed and pavement. It seems to be all the parts working together to make this work. We need to get the water to go where we want it to go and not where it wants to go. So that's a big deal here. So I just again want you to see that this council, unlike past councils, has done a lot of research in this, stayed up a long time. I've stayed up a lot of nights. I know other members here have. We've done all we can. I've sharpened my pencil more than once, I can tell you that, trying to get this to work. It just is what it is. We have to deal with it. I don't really want to take it. I'm not a gambler by any stretch of imagination. If we rebid this in 2020, we could be talking $700,000, $800,000, and you won't like that. And then we have to come back and look at this fund and say, is it really worth giving you that amount of money out of that fund? Is it really fair to the other people that are paying towards that fund? So this seems to be where it's at right now. So on that, I'm going to open up for some discussion here with the council. This will see what their input is, and then hopefully we can get on with this. So Sarah, I'll start with you. How much you may have.
I agree. We were all shocked at the increase. Far before I was elected to city council, I was at those work sessions with several of you, talked to several of you, heard your concerns. I do agree that, you know, we've worked very hard collectively and individually trying to find the best solution for this. We're not going to make everybody happy, and unfortunately that's part of the job. But I think that we're at a point where we have to make this decision because we cannot keep putting it off. It's right now, if I look at it, I don't see the costs are going to go down in the next few years. And so I think we have to consider moving forward with this or just scrapping the whole thing anywhere in there.
All right, thank you. Ross?
I want the residents to know that the sticker shock too was a big concern of mine, and I appreciate hearing a lot of yeses out there to get this project done. The city, the staff, engineers, we did a lot of work on curbs and gutters that normally wouldn't be part of stormwater, but based on the way that road needs to be fixed, curb and gutter was actually thrown into the stormwater to actually reduce the amount that the residents pay. So those are all things that we did as staff to try and get this price down. When it came in at 28% increase, I didn't like it, but as a fiduciary spender of the city's money, I didn't blink on raising the city's part for that because this project is that important for me. It sucks, but that increase on the city's portion is actually some of your money as well. So you're paying your assessment plus you're paying the city's 50%, if you see it that way. 29 if you are, along with all the residents are paying 50% of this project. we went with a different, we moved to a different engineering company since we took office. They're the ones that go out and do all the borings and stuff. We're not the professionals. We don't know how the water's gonna run. The company that bid this is going to know how to grade, how to get the water to run where it needs to go based on all the engineering's professional. They're the professionals, that's why we pay them. The bid, like they say, it is per unit. So if we get this project done under the number of units that are needed, it's gonna come in cheaper. If there's some foreseeable increase, that'll need to come to the city council. And we'll give you guys the opportunity to address that as well. But it's if the project moves forward, it's going to move forward. And I appreciate all the yeses.
Right, and as Rob just mentioned here, when the price changed, we were at originally 241.3 on both sides. We adjusted with you as well as your price going up. We met 50-50, as of now it's 308.789 is on both sides. So we just didn't keep it at the 241.3 as what Rob was saying. We matched your amount. So we are, again, as shocked as you are, and again, like I say again, it's taking a more percentage of a stormwater fund out. We feel it's important to do it. We feel it's a real stormwater problem, and we feel also, again, protecting the Rum River is one of our main concerns. Joe, I'll pass it on to you.
I don't have much to add as far as what hasn't been said, other than I do have a question for staff. I'm not sure which one you guys would necessarily answer this, but is there a way, what Sean asked too, I can't see anybody with common sense to try to say your road's partially paved, now you gotta finish it. I can't see a future person doing that. But I can also see somebody trying to pull that off as well. Is there any kind of assurance you can put in? Or because the city's doing it, that's not necessarily gonna be, you know what I'm saying? If we're gonna start the driveway 15 feet in, that a future council can't come in here and try to go after them.
So there would be a legal non-conforming, right? So
Right.
when the house gets redeveloped, torn down, and they start over with the new house, then it would have to be paved.
So basically it's grandfathered until, let's say a tornado blows your house down and you have to rebuild, then you have to change. Until then, only an act of God is something that protects.
Okay, that's all I have.
Kevin?
I'm not going to blather on either, but it's a tough decision. And again, when we took our oath, we are fiduciary. We take fiduciary responsibility for your money and our money. We're our taxpayers as well. We can't really correct the stuff from the past or indecisions or no decisions. We're looking for the future, and this is the future. It's going to make the area better. Again, the price isn't very appealing, but all things come with some cost. And again, I would suggest everyone take a breath if this does go forward. Please don't. I am not a financial advisor, nor do I play one on TV. But do not raid your 401ks. Do not go bonkers the first year out. $900 is a lot of money, but it's not a ton of money. So you'd probably make 3.68%, as the mayor stated, is a pretty reasonable for today's time speed. So, and I'm sure your 401ks will have a higher return than that. But yeah, it's not an easy decision, and we don't take it lightly. And the city's already invested probably well over, at least again, I was involved in the work sessions too, over $20,000-$30,000 in this already, just in the test the water portion. And it's not something that we want to do, but it's time to do it, and the outcome will bring betterment to your neighborhood.
Thank you. Would it be, I think at this time, I would just like to see if I can we get hands of the people that are for it right now at this time? Can we get a count? Can you just leave your hands up until we get a count? Joe, can we take a count here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you keep them up?
Keep them up.
So we get a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You just want one per household,
One per
correct?
household.
One per household.
So-
One per household. So,
Doesn't mean
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So roughly, not 50%, but still up there. Okay, that's actually better than I thought. So, okay.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking again. No. Okay, so 10. All right. Anyway. Okay, I just want to, one thing I want to clarify again is that if you have, assessment that any property owner wishing to object to the project assessments must do so in writing. I want that stated again so that you know that. Okay. I want to thank everybody for their input at the public hearing part. Now I guess it's up to us. So let me go here. Okay. We're at a point now of adopting this resolution, right, Craig? Anything you want to say on that before we do this? I've already done that.
Okay. Yes, we move on to items 7A2.
All right. Overview, the assessment hearing for the Kings Highway Riverbank Main Street improvement project was held today. Resolution number 2019-13 adopts the assessment roll as presented. The assessment roll is also attached. Consideration to adopt the resolution. Okay. So once again, it's all based on unit prices. The unit prices are fixed. If the amount of the money comes down at the end as lower than what is projected here, we will look at it and we'll get at least, my guess would be we'll talk at least 50-50 because it comes out of, we're sharing a fund and that, but we will be open-minded to looking at it in a different way. But again, my guess would be like, say, if this at $50,000, we look at splitting that savings 25-25 to the fund, but we will be open-minded to looking at it in a different way, or at least open-minded to discuss that at that time. You're looking at me a certain way.
Are you going to adopt the assessment hearing?
Right,
Are you going to adopt it tonight, or are you going to do a final roll later?
Well, when you see it, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we're adopting assessment based on what? We don't know the final numbers of this, so how do we do that? Legal, or how do we do it?
Based on the good prices, but.
Correct.
But
you can, I don't know, turn.
Well, are we just, Dave,
are
we adopting the fact that we're going to assess? Is that what we're doing?
That's basically the action. It's
Just the assessment.
Well, to place assessments on the properties.
Okay.
You could also continue this to a later date and then adopt that assessment roll at a different date.
Would there have to be another public hearing then?
All right, but what is the best way? We know we have to assess on this, they have to amount. We know that as of today. The actual final assessment will be another hearing, correct? Or another.
Sorry, to adopt this resolution, you're adopting your assessment roll.
Of the amount that we're talking about now?
Mr. Mayor, and in number 3, it says, starting at the adoption of this resolution, so their interest would start today.
You could change that in.
We could change that interest
Right,
date?
that's what.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And you can change you can reassess this later if you adopt these tonight.
It's a similar process.
Okay, so what is the proper way, the best way to do it for the residents and the city? To adopt this assessment tonight and change the date on it, or what? Tell me what would you like us to do?
You can reassess it later after the final prices come in, right?
Right.
So we can assess the bid prices. Let's say there was a savings or something, we can reassess it at a lower.
But we don't want the clock to tick today, right, or no?
So you want to waive that interest clause in there, that it would not start tonight.
Okay.
You could put in whatever date you want.
All right, so now you've complicated me, have to read this thing. So Dave, can you clarify this so I can get a vote on this? I mean, how should it state?
Motion and a second to adopt the assessment rule and state interest will start running from X date.
Can we say 30 days after?
It is.
Or we should say the end of
January
January 1st,
1st,
2020. A lot of councils will do that.
Okay, January 1st, 2020? Okay, so.
That would be the motion.
Good with that?
Yeah, I can
Are
send
you
it out
okay
to
with
the
that?
county whatever way, yes.
Okay.
And then we have to,
Okay, now I have to come up with a way to say that, I guess. Okay, see it now. Okay, so we're gonna, right now, this adopting assessment resolution 2019-13 with a final assessment date of January 1, 2020. Is that correct? Is that a way to state that?
interest.
Interest. Starting, okay, as of January 1, 2020.
Yep.
Okay. Is that clear to everybody?
And if anybody wants to prepay it, they have to prepay it by November 15th,
Okay, 2019.
2019.
Councilmember Newell makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilmember Bauer makes a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I have a question. Can you clarify that a little bit? It's
Better?
hard to hear you.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I can repeat this mic to get the same way, but I'll try.
January 1st, 2020 is when the interest is going to start to accrue. But the prepayment has to be done by
Full payment.
a full payment.
Prepayment or any amount, if you want to, then that would adjust the amount that's being special assessed. But that payment has to be to the city by November 15th. That's a legal date
And-
when you get it special assessed.
Right, and by then, the project will have been completed and we will know the hard numbers.
And at that point, will we be notified of these options? These options to prepay and or, I assume the interest as of the first of next year.
Would they be notified?
Not unless you do another special assessment hearing.
I believe the notices talked about the November 15th, but they did talk also about the interest starting, so that would be different. But it does have some language in there about the payment of November 15th, I believe.
But we will receive a bill or something between now and then, we just gotta remember.
Yeah.
Correct.
What if I try to write you a check between November 15th and January 1st? I'm not trying to be difficult, but
Are you what we call contrarian or what?
According to the county, I'm not supposed to accept any payments after that time.
So it'd just be subject to interest.
Right?
It would just be subject to interest
Yes,
as of the
then
first
you would
apply
not be
event.
able to prepay it till the next year.
Okay.
So let me ask you
You
this
pay interest
question.
on one year.
Let me ask you this, they can pay either all of it before 2011, 15, 19, or part of it, half of it, let's say? But,
Then
but any
that
interest
new
after,
amount would be
on November 16th, 19, you start getting interest on whatever amount you didn't pay. That make sense to you?
So could we pay that off in full at some point, say in 2020 then?
We pay it off.
Yes, you can come into the city. You would have to prepay at the city,
Whatever interest you have owed after.
even though it's been special
I
assessed.
understand the interest up to that date.
Right.
But
The interest would be on your taxes. So the interest from January 1st to December 31st would be on your taxes that year. So you always are responsible for interest to December 31st.
So if you don't prepay by November 15th, you'll pay all of 2020's interest.
Yes. And that's every year. You can prepay at any point, but you have to pay interest to the end of the year because it's been on your taxes. That year's is on your tax roll or your tax statement.
So basically, if you pay before November 15th, 19, you pay the net amount.
Yep.
Without interest, after that date, you're gonna have interest to pay.
Some portion, yeah. Some portion.
And if you want to prepay, you do have to come to the city to prepay.
But 5 years, you're not going to pay out the balance.
At the
Whatever
city.
interest you owe plus the balance, yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
You wouldn't pay the other 10 years, you pay the 5 years of interest.
Yeah, 5 years interest, yeah, exactly.
How much interest is it each year? Can you tell me what 3.some% is?
What did we work out? Did we work that out?
It varies. Because your balance is going down, but I don't remember a per year interest rate or interest rate.
It's set at 3.65%.
3.68.
Yeah, and so what would that be per year if you didn't pay anything?
You need to go sit with Darcy and talk to her about that.
If you, I don't have the breakdown in front of me.
Yeah, I tell you, Randy, you can talk to Darcy after that, but we have a motion on the table and we have to get moving on this. So I think we've answered what questions we can, so now we have a first and a second. So now I will once again answer, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Now moving on to accepting the bids.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, with the adoption of the assessment rule, it would make sense to consider adoption of resolution 2019-14, resolution accepting the bids.
Okay, I think everything has pretty much been said about the bids and that, and it's on a per unit base price that's fixed. Once again, we will hope that things come to, as planned, and the prices go down at the end of the project. We'll have to wait and see. I'll open this up for any discussion you may have before we take this. Kevin?
I have nothing here, Mayor.
Nothing. Rob, nothing. Sarah, nothing? Okay. All right, on that, I will look for a motion to adopt accepting the bids on resolution 2019-14. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Bauer makes a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Craig, the next steps?
We will have a pre-construction meeting, I'll notify the contractor of the award, and we'll have a pre-construction meeting at City Hall, and get a schedule and go from there.
All right, and that, the public, the residents can attend that one too, of course? Okay, okay. You'll be in the loop through the whole project, so we want to do this right, we want to get it done and do it right the first time. So that's a good thing, Mike?
Will we be notified by mail of this session, or is this going to be put up on the city website?
Joe?
Suppose, I mean, we can send a mailing out or put it on the website. I mean, I don't know. Typically, the meeting is.
It'd be unusual, I guess, to invite all the residents, but it's not saying they couldn't come. We'd have to do a special mailing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the pre-con meeting is kind of coordinating with the utility companies and making sure the project runs smoothly. I mean, I guess if they want to come to North Wyoming, say.
So is there any meetings down the road that they need to attend as this thing goes forward? They need to attend?
We'll send a letter once we know the schedule to the residents saying,
This is going to happen?
this is what's happening, this is their schedule. There'll be other letters in the process, those getting curb and gutter, concrete. Typically, we ask them to park on the road for a period of 7 days so their concrete hardens. We'll get letters and notifications like that out throughout the process. But that's all personally delivered. Typically, personally delivered.
Okay. That's what we're doing. All right, check with the city hall. We'll mention what we can at the council meeting down the road here. We can look as much as possible. Go from there. But you will be notified of the scheduling that's going on, you're saying. Okay. Thank you for your time. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate that, and the council does too, and staff who helps us to help make the decision the best we can. So there's no old business. We're going to move on to new business right now. 2019 street reconditioning project.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so this project is a street surface reconstruct similar to what we did last year, later in the year. There's a set of plans in the packet regarding the street surface. So basically what we're asking for tonight is your approval of the plans and specifications so that we can go out to bid on this project. Apologize, I'm looking for So basically these costs are in the current 5-year CIP plan to be done in 2019. Again, the plans are attached for your review. I do apologize. I guess the first item is the no parking restrictions.
Related parking restrictions?
Yeah, so again, generally related to what I was just talking about. Some of these routes, as outlined in the agenda, are on the state aid system. And in order to get money out of the state aid account, certain parameters have to be met. One of those is a certain width of parking. These streets don't have an adequate width to park on both sides. So what that means is one side will have to be signed as no parking. So even though they're residential streets, we don't have an option, but we will have to put no parking signs on one side of the street.
Right, because there will be parking on the other side.
Correct.
A little bit of white spray.
That does not work this time because we don't have, we did that last time because we had 34 feet.
Okay.
We only have 32 feet, which if you remember was the same as Lippet. So last project we did the exact same on Lippet Street. But unfortunately, all these are 32 feet, so.
Tom, let me ask you, what way would you suggest? I mean, is the signage the best way to go? To tell people not to park there, is that?
That's much more obvious.
Yeah, than a white line, especially when you got, snow and whatever else.
And the state will require this.
Okay, it's got, okay. Anything else, Chris?
Also, on that one, we're requesting approval of resolution 2019-16, so that we can forward that on with the plans to the MnDOT for final approval.
All right. I don't have any questions on this, because I read everything, looks pretty good to me, so I'll pass it. Joe, you have anything? Kevin?
I have nothing, sir.
Rob?
I just want to clarify, so if we do nothing and allow them to park on both sides, we'd actually lose state aid for those roads, right?
They won't approve the plan.
That's,
I mean, if you don't sign it and they catch it on the final inspection,
I read it.
It's a string attached to the money.
Yeah, it's a string attached to the money, and I just wanted the residents to know that we're not taking their street parking away just because we want to take the street parking away.
Yeah, I'll still hear about it when that.
Yeah.
But there's a good sum of money there at stake, so
Yes.
we do want it, so.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you have anything else? All right, well then, I'd like to have a motion to entertain relating to parking restrictions on municipal state aid routes, resolution 2019-16. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Whitman makes that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Newball makes a second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the approval of plans and specifications, resolution 2019-17.
Mr. Mayor, member of the council, so again, I was talking out of order, this is what I was talking about. The plans are attached again for your review and approval. Under the budget items, again, this is in the city CIP and plan for 2019. Currently do have adequate CIP funds and state aid funds. Your state aid funds available right now is $1.796 million. So there's plenty of funds there on the state aid side. Total estimated project cost is $546,300. Again, at this time, we're requesting approval of resolution 2019-17, approving plans and specs and ordering advertising for bids for the 2019 street reconstruction project.
All right, the only question I have, Paul, I mentioned to you today, I mean, there's other streets that you're sectioned off of the city this year. Are our funds intact fine for this?
I haven't seen the engineer's estimates as far as our.
Right, what I'm saying to you, because Poppy Street is one of those streets, along with some other streets in that same area, is that still going to be, the fund's still going to be able to take care of all this?
So we broke these up into two projects, the street reconstruction, basically street surface improvements. Those plans will be coming to you in a month.
Okay.
Yes, but these costs are in line with what was in the CIP for it.
Also, I want to mention that on Poppy Street, we do have a shared expense there with Oak Grove, okay? And they are aware of it, okay? So we have discussions with your engineer, or not, no, Joe has. Okay. Full disclosure, openness is the best way to go. Especially when you deal with Oak Grove. I hate to say that, but it's true. Anyway, and you can put that on the record, I don't care, okay? All right, anyway. So on that, I will entertain a motion for adopting approval of plans and specifications. Or do I need some discussion already on this one? We want to discuss them? Pretty clear. It follows up with the last one. Really ties to, if I'm right, it ties to the other resolution before it anyways.
Correct.
So really, okay. All right, let's just, can I have a motion to approval of plans and specifications, resolution 2019-17?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilmember Bauer makes a second. During any further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Now, meeting open to the public bar, this will be a discussion on anyone who has concerns or comments on the variance from what was shown here tonight on the street, or anything else that you might want to bring up. So come forward, state your name and address, and let us know your concerns.
First one is Greg Edwards.
171800 Street. First of all, this is a public resource. Wild and Scenic River was created, and it was based not on rural and urban. It was based on the classification of the river. The river was classified as wild, scenic, recreational. You're taking a small section that I think is recreational and trying to reclassify it as urban. You're trying to take scenic and reclassify it as urban. Scenic is a 4-acre minimum. That won't, indeed, people can still develop it, but the idea is to maintain that wild beauty. And as far as this has never been requested before, can anyone tell me in 2005 what was denied by the DNR?
You're talking about a development that time that was in play?
There was something submitted by St. Francis back in that time frame for some kind of variance or something. What you're asking for today, I can see why no one's asked for it. You might as well trash the whole Wild and Scenic River because you're saying based on monetary, we can just classify it. Why even have the program? Because now I'm pretty fired up about it, and I believe that we should have a program and we should maintain areas like that. You can still develop around it, leave it as it is.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to come forward on meeting open to the public? Anybody else you have signed up there, Barb?
Diane Edwards.
Again, I'm representing my this has been a family farm area for acres for many, many years. And it's been maintained as farmland, still is farmland, and there's no intention of changing that. And if these variances go through and you zone it in the area that all of a sudden all these houses go in, you're almost forcing her because you're saying in one hand that you also have to, the variances change, any building that even if she wants to build a house there today, she has to run city sewer and water. That's going to put her right out, according to the letter, that one of the articles within DNR rules, it said somewhere that for future building, there would have to be city sewer and water. That would be astronomical. So I'm very concerned about that, and I'm very concerned about just the beauty of the natural scenic waterway that we have enjoyed for many, many years. They used to run canoe trips. I don't know how many of you have been here. I lived there all my life. I lived on that property. I grew up on that property, so it's special to me. And they used to run river canoe trips up and down the river so people could see the scenery. If you put a house, instead of 40 houses, you put 220, wow, what is that going to do with all the runoff? What is that going to do for rain pond? And all that type of stuff. What's that going to do to our wildlife? There's eagles and bears and all kinds of things back there. So I ask you to really think about what you're doing, because you take that away from it now, it's not going to be here for your kids, your kids, your kids. It's gone. You aren't going to get that back. Build, go ahead, but don't change it so that it's so compacted. And then when the trees, all the leaves fall in the fall, everybody, what are they looking at? House, 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 house. That's not what the river's there for. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Barb? I see we have someone else.
Yep, Darwin Dam.
Darwin Dam, 3220, 241st. We own probably over 52% of the property on the east side of the river that's within the boundaries of the proposal. Couple points things I'd like the public to know is a big part of this problem was created by the city. Back in 2012, our farm consisted of several parcels. We purchased up in the upper left-hand corner woods that's in the horseshoe. And in order for that sale to go through, this city required that we combine all our parcels into one. That's why you have a half mile from the river. Since the parcels are combined, why isn't we looking at other options such as dividing parcels, creating areas that can be developed and still create areas along the river in lower density? There's room to do everything. The biggest problem with the whole issue is that everything that was written, stated, applied for is all based on if and assumptions. There are no facts that fully support it. Yes, if it happens, our densities would increase, our tax base would go up, but we also have maintenance, we also have infrastructure, we also have everything else that goes with it. Taxes, by the time that development actually went through, taxes would not be going down significantly. The same with your water and sewer rates. There was a letter sent out implying that this could possibly lower our sewer rates. Well, 20 years from now, if it is that long before anything happens, water and sewer rates will not be cheaper than they are today. I have other property that sewer and water was brought in the late 90s. At that time, our rate was $6 a month. Today, that area has increased sewer and water by over 2,000 households. The rate today is $30 a month. Your rates aren't going to be offset. It's just not going to happen. Because you would have to dump all those homes into that property immediately to see that type of thing happen. And it just can't happen. It takes time to build. I guess one last thing that I've kind of got a little bit of a pet peeve, and I don't know if it's an issue that can go anywhere or not, but that's the fact that the city sent out a letter to the sewer and water people, strongly encouraging them to send a note to the DNR. But us, who are the most impacted, had no information on it. We did not receive a letter. This city used taxpayer money to send letters to a select group to solicit response in only one fashion, and that's to support this resolution. And I think there may be some legal implications there. Just something that I think we should think about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the open public forum?
Sean Davis.
Try to be brief. Sean Davis, 24-310 Riverbank. First, I want to say first off, I'd love to see the city grow. More people, more businesses, more places to go eat, all those things. But I don't want to compromise the river that we got. I'm going to kind of read out here, so I'm sorry if I repeat what other people have said. The presentation we saw today was different from the one we saw at the last council meeting. All five of you, when asked what was the main goal, you all said lower the water bill to offset the water cost.
No, sir.
No, we didn't.
No, I did not.
Well, let's
You're right.
Let him finish. No.
You're right. Kevin did. But the other four did. Yeah. I apologize. Which was also different than the letter. As the previous guy was saying, would say, in the variance wording. Some say 10 years, this is all going to be developed at the DNR, to 30 years on last week's presentation, last council meeting's presentation. So it just seems like there's not quite a plan going forward, and I get that. Cast a wide net approach, but maybe narrow that area down, keep the river a little more scenic, and maybe half mile maybe is a little too far. But let's try to work with it rather than just go to whole yellow. Also, I'm just gonna repeat what he said way, I don't even know your name, sorry. What he said way better than I can. Why would you only send a letter out to the people you think already got in your pocket? You know, I did it. And I applaud the council for trying to get the water bills for people more in line. But there's bigger issues, or not bigger, but there's other issues that people are concerned about than what they're paying. We just approved a road 30% over budget, and more than half the hands went up in favor of it. So to assume that the only people that care about it are the ones paying for city and sewer water, I think is a little short-sighted and also dishonest, maybe, and manipulative to only target those people for comment. With that, I'll leave you guys alone. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else, Barb?
I will, Mike Winkler, I think he left. And then Julie Morello.
So I came today because...
Name and address, please.
Oh, I live off Ambassador, 23539 Ambassador. And I received a letter. And the reason why I'm here is because there seems to be confusion as to what was being said in the proposal in reference to what you would do with the land. And I just wanted to verify or get clarification that you're not requesting the fact of, like, I live in a 1.6 acre, right? So at the end of this month, it's being approved that I can only build a 5 square foot building add-on to my property. And the reason for that is because of square footage between houses. And I was told that, like you all, I need to get a variance request. But now your variance is requesting a 0.25 per house. So that would be like putting 10 houses on my lot. And to you, that's reasonable. It's tax effective. Is that correct? That on my size lot, you would put 10 homes.
Did you not say you had 1.7 acres?
Yes.
That would be 2 to 3 units per acre.
Right, so that is correct. That you would want to put 8 homes on my side. So I'm wondering why it's only being approved for a 500 square foot building, and it's due to space. And I live right here off the river. But in what you guys are looking forward to in building, you're only doing the 8, you want to build 8 homes.
Where will your lot be affected by this variance? And you have 1.7.
Well, my lot is, and what my point is that
It's kind of a separate issue.
I'm one of the lots. It's not, because I'm not for the variance, for the fact that I'm one that sits 300 feet from the river lot, okay?
Right.
And I'm one that was opposed from the building prior, because I look at 5 homes now when I look out my back door. The last 3 years, there's been nothing but building. Every day. I look out my backyard, I see nothing but a shed and houses now. There's no scenic view. I used to have deer. Not one deer was in my backyard last year. The ducks are gone. Everything is gone. They're trying to say it's tax effective. My whole point is, I'm all for growth. I think it's great you want to build a city. I don't understand why you can't leave that 150 foot, and I get it, the houses was 400,000. But I went to those showings, and those realtors, when I asked if I could put a dock on those houses, they had no idea. when I asked if I can make a clearing there, I don't know, you own the property is what I was told by the realtors. There's no accountability when it comes to those realtors. They don't know what they're selling, they don't care. You know, when the clearing was being done, call the police, they didn't know the regulations. Nobody knew. So, although it couldn't be stopped when mine was done, I will be at every meeting. Every single one that's done now for the city, for future building. But, you know, I'll be 80 years old, 90 almost. Because they're talking 2040. But I didn't know about it because I was one who didn't get fires when mine was done. When the building started, I went there. I was told it was going to be a 300-foot variance, you know, from my house. I figured, okay.
A 300-foot setback, you mean?
Correct. So I was fine with the building because I figured, good, you know.
And you were told that when?
I was told that when the building started because I heard kind of how he.
Can you just give us a year for reference, what that might be?
What's that?
What year that might be?
That might have been, what, 2019, 2014?
I believe you're talking about Rum River Bluffs subdivision?
Yeah.
If that helps you
Yeah.
out with.
So when I started here in the building, right, I went over there and it was like the first round of showings. Went in there, saw the houses. They were kind of simple, split levels. When asked about, oh, well, you know, are they going to do any more buildings? No, we have to be 300 feet from the river. So they're going to be kind of like this. So the buildings started getting a little louder. When they're all of a sudden it was 100 feet from the river.
And you were talking to who about that, ma'am?
The people who were selling the houses.
Okay, the realtors.
Yep, so then all of a sudden I started seeing sewer and water lines. I'm like, what is going on here? So I went and talked to a realtor. Well, that's another group, so went in there. Oh, well, yep, that's been approved because they do it in phases. So this whole 2040, you know, add on, like the different phases. Okay, fine, well, I'll be here for every single phase. Because what's being told, you know, like in the letter, it was, you know, let the DNR approve up until 2040. You know, I have a 15, 18, and 20-year-old. Right now, to tell you the truth, all they care is that they can go kayaking, they get to see the eagle. You know, they don't know anything about a variance. You know, they don't know the difference between rural and city, and, you know, they like to go to the city, but they like to go fishing. You know, they're not going to understand any of this right now. They're learning it. You know, because they're like, well, why, you know, we were going to build a building. I find out I can't even do a $600 or a 600-foot building.
600 square feet.
Correct. Mine isn't approved. I have to go through all the steps that you're all doing to try and get a 600-foot square building on a 1.6 acre. And that's not until April 28th. That's just now been changed. Before I could only have a 5'8" shed because of my geographical. But they changed that, which I wonder why that was just changed as of April 28th. So I'm just saying, you know, the variance, you can sell something any way you want to, but if somebody reads deep enough in the lines, they can see what it's saying. You know, I mean, you can tell if you do your math, 2.5 acres is 10 houses on the same thing as what I have, or what he has for 2. You know, 2.5 acres. And what you're allowing us to do right now is not what he wants to do. It's not what he wants to do. You know, if you're not allowing me to do it as of April 28th, I find it just amazing that you would say, okay, DNR, let us do it. That's, you know, I thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. And also, Barb, I'll let you.
Benjamin Riker.
Benjamin Riker, 23258 Finch Street, west, just right over there. I'm one of the folks that did get the letter. Just to give a little substantial to my comments, I have a bachelor's in forestry resource management, master's in forestry, specializing in urban forestry, and minor in watersheds. I'm just here because a lot of what they're saying is, I grew up in this river 40 years, I mean minus the 5 years of growing up. But I now have a 5-year-old that talks to me about the river. And wanting to go canoeing and fishing on this. So the proposed, I'm still having a hard time understanding this, is you wanting to develop straight to the river, correct? Is that what we're looking at here in this map?
Straight to the river.
Straight to the river. That's the river, right?
Yeah, you could do that overall.
Okay. So, and we're talking about easement rights and SMCs. Do you understand what SMCs are? Stream side management zones. Pretty typical in a lot of development. So basically, you want to take those away, correct?
Yes.
We're not developing anything.
You're wanting to develop. That's what this means about, correct?
It can develop either with larger lots or smaller lots.
No, you're wanting to develop straight to the river, correct? That's all.
We want to allow for development.
Okay.
Allow. Just to clarify something, it's still up to the ag owner to sell to a developer if a developer
Right, but
approaches.
it looks like
Without
there's a
that,
developer that's on the river already.
There's only one development on the southern very portion of it.
That little tip.
That
that
little
goes out on the-
SBD and,
That SBD is St. Francis.
Okay.
It's the Joy.
okay, so I'm fairly new to, I haven't been in my house but under a year, so I'm in this, so that's what I'm trying to understand. Anyway, so I am for development. Yes, I am not a preservationist, I'm a conservationist. So we have plenty of open land here that can be developed, minus staying out of the streamside management zone, the SMCs, which I don't know the current distance. I'm for the 150 to 300 feet of streamside management zones because of, yeah, soil support.
You're talking a setback.
Yeah, setback, yeah, yeah. There's a source point, thank you. Source point pollution that happens just because we do add stuff to our lawns. Not only that, because just by allowing for the scenic use of the river, it keeps people from seeing these houses. There's not a lot of people that can travel the river in the winter other than I guess the snowmobilers, but I mean 300 feet is not much to ask, I don't think. I mean at a minimum. So I guess that's where I'm at. I just, the Rum River is designated as a scenic water trail, technically. So, and everybody likes their trails, right? Whether it's terrestrial or aquatic. And you don't want to see houses or people other than the people that are using it. So that's my basic understanding of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Bart?
No.
Okay. Now I'm going to open up to Kate here to clarify some things that have been brought to our attention here. You have the floor.
Mayor and
Does she
Council.
know where to start?
I was saying, well, in regards to the accessory structures, I believe that's what Julie was referencing. And that was the new ordinance that was just approved and is within its 30-day comment period that would allow 500 square feet on any parcel greater than a half acre with buildable space. So once that ordinance is in effect, she's definitely welcome to submit an application for that accessory structure and the surveys, and it will be processed as they all will going forward.
And that would be, I believe, April 23rd, I believe.
I believe it's April 23rd, correct?
Do you understand that?
I do, but I was trying to, because on the average, a 2-car garage, so I have 3 teens, right? Me and my husband both drive. I live off Ambassador, so that's 5 cars. So I wanted to build 2-car stall garage. That's normally a 600 square foot building, okay? To have a 1-foot space on each side of the car. I was like, well, you can build a structure, but it has to be 500 foot. So now I'm trying to do a garage, a 1-stall car with an easement, right? Because I can only do 500 square feet, right, with the easement. What I'm saying is I'm struggling as a resident, right, since I've been 6 months old, on a 1.6 acre, to do one house with a 2-stall garage. They're trying to stick 10 houses on a 1.6
Well,
acre.
besides that, ma'am, let's just talk about your garage right now, okay? Okay, that's what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
We changed the quarter, we went by.
We did, to 500
We
square
went
feet.
250 on a quarter of an acre, half
We
acre,
did.
we boosted to 500.
Yeah.
And you can do a variance to request more, okay? That you can do. We're just clarifying some situation, some
Yes,
facts.
that, yeah, no, the young lady up at the office, there, yeah, she sent me I got it all on Friday.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Other concerns, I guess, the question of forcing to hook up with water and sewer really falls back to these parcels within any of these zones, within any of the city, would not be developed unless an owner sells to a developer. Nobody is required to hook up to water and sewer until their property is developed. We wouldn't take an individual property on 10, 20, 40 acres to hook up to water and sewer. Any projects that are proposed do come through the planning hearing process. So say somebody with 40 acres decides they want to develop in this zone, it comes through an application process, it comes through our planning commission, and at that point would have a public hearing. So that's an opportunity where anybody in the city, everybody within 350 feet is notified, much like with this DNR, and they have the opportunity to come in and comment on that. If owners choose never to sell that land, it will never be developed, even with the 2040 comp plan hanging out there. So it all falls back on property owners themselves.
Can you mention about the 60 feet of tree buffer that is in place, and we would extend that? So let's say, for instance, there was a lot there or an area where it had half the amount of trees, we would propose to have more of it added.
Joe, do you want to address that one better?
Yeah, sure. So disturbed portions up to the river that do not have 60 feet of vegetation, there would be a required average to restore up to 60 feet of vegetation following disturbed areas, so that it, kind of replaces what was taken out already. And then where there already is 60 feet of vegetation, that would be protected.
It would not be clear cut.
Would not be, you can't clear cut.
Would a farmer that currently farms that close be required to?
Not until the property is developed.
And when you say develop, what if it's sold to family?
Developed would be ripping down the houses, if there are any on there, and then putting new ones on there.
But I mean, I'm saying specifically, you talk in one term, selling to a developer, if they're selling to their own family.
So
is that considered the same as a developer?
If a house was torn down, whether the property was sold or not, if a house was torn down and a new one was put up, that would probably be considered some redevelopment. But if you're adding more homes, then that's kind of developed.
What if you added a house? One house?
So are you saying if you had to add one house, would you have to restore the buffer?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
What would be the rules if you add a house to that land?
So I think we're kind of going further than this needs to. So if I owned 40 acres and I decided to sell to ABC Development Company, and they wanted to put in roads, they wanted to plat individual lots, they're going to have to adhere to these setbacks, they're going to have to adhere to the water and sewer, they're going to have to rebuild those buffers and get those houses back and make sure that there's that 60-foot buffer there. If I own 40 acres and I split it in half and I sell to just one person and that one person builds a house, that is not a development. That is a lot.
Okay,
So, I mean, a development is much like what we have coming in now, where they're putting in 90 houses in 90 acres or 220 in 93 acres. That's a development.
Then can't you do the same thing for large developments?
What do you mean?
Come back from the river, the required setback, and sell the land beyond that, split the parcel. Now you have, say you got a 50-acre chunk, you sell 30 off to a developer, you can go high density sewer water on that, the river still stays.
Well, I think with that too, so I think what you're saying too is to give a buffer zone. We can't even do anything with it without that variance not being approved. So that variance is
Right.
approved, that's something we could discuss in the
It's
future.
a 150-foot setback now.
Right, but
So you
until
got
then-
more buffer now than you do.
Currently, any of the parcels that are in that rural development, even if they were to be split, still apply to those rural designation. Whether you put
Right, but
50
at
and
that
30.
point, you can come to the city and change that designation and zoning, just like you change River's Edge to a PUD.
Zoning, yes, but not the
You can take
district.
that, if it's an adjoining chunk, for example, you can now change zoning, you're reclassifying it, it's got its own legal description, its own parcel number.
We can't change the district that it's in. We can change it to a PUD, but that PUD
Right.
is still held to the same standards that are in the Rum River scenic management
But then
district.
it's no longer in that because you've separated it from the.
It's still within that overlay district.
Yep.
You talk.
That's why we're asking.
That's why I'm trying to get clear.
And clusters out has to be under PCD, correct?
But see, you're,
PCDs have different rules.
No, planned unit developments, which is what we have in the city, they only currently are allowed in the urban Rum River district. So they're currently not allowed to the north where the rural is.
Well, you talk urban. Urban is not in wild and scenic rules. It says recreational. So you may have an area that's more urban, like the lower St. Croix, and you kind of insert those into something that's not part of that section of the rules. I can understand wanting to put city sewer and water. I can't understand wanting to rezone the whole thing. If these farmers never sell,
Then you have no problem.
you have no problem, but you've made a lot of promises to your people.
We've made no promises, sir, no promises. You know, here's the other thing I want to understand here. Just for example, hypothetical. Darwin, you own approximately, what, 250 acres off there in that area, okay? Let's say, for instance, your age is, what, about 65, something like that, 66, something like that? Let's say, for instance, just because I'm going through health issues and I understand that today I feel good and tomorrow I might not feel good, and we all are like that, okay? I happen to be going through a little more severe stuff than that. But my point is this. Let's say, for instance, you're 85, 90 years old, right? And a developer comes to you, because things aren't getting good, or times go, we have ups and downs, and times go whatever. A developer comes to you and says, sir, I'd like to buy 150 of your acres, and I will give you $3 million cash to buy your land, but it has to be urban, not rural designation, for me to get sewer and water in, because I can't do 2.5 acre lots or 4 acre lots to make my return on investment. So I want urban. Would you just say to him, $3 million cash in hand at 90 years old, to say, no, I'm not going to do it?
Probably.
Really?
Right.
But you know what you have?
I have kids, grandkids, and more family coming.
And guess what? You have the option to say no, and guess what would happen? The developer would go away, nothing would happen.
Right.
Because if you don't sell the land, the developer can't build. So it has to be, you have the land, you have the say really in it. All we're asking is that that is allowable, because from what I'm seeing here is, we have residents that want another grocery store, they want another drugstore, they want an Aldi's to come in, they want this to come in. Demand, growth is the engine to demand for.
And I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It is.
without that.
But unless you put industry into this area, so people don't have to drive 40 miles to work.
Tell me what industry is going to come here without people here. Tell me. I'd like to know, because we're here trying to work this out.
You've got 80% of this town leaving every day.
What you also have is people, by the way, just to let you know, sir. You have I walked this area for 4.5 months through my campaign this last time. I've had people moving farther out from the urban areas because why? Prices are up. Well, this has happened before the housing bubble burst, and they're willing to take the commute to save the cost of house purchases, okay?
Yeah,
so there's a mix of both and all that. But what we're saying here, by the way, is you own the land. You're the ag owners. If what happens here and a developer comes to you and you don't sell land, we don't run city sewer and water. We have nothing on the table from you, sir, right now at all. Just that southern portion to finish off 3 phases. All this does is allows that ability. And by the way, also, just to let you know, if a developer came to you and said, okay, I'll give you $3 million, and I'm only going to build $4 million homes on 4 acre lots, will you sell the land? You might go for that with better setbacks and all that. They could come back to see and we could discuss it. We're not opposed to it, but what we're saying is that we're planning for Musa to expand. Doesn't mean Musa will expand, it means we can talk about it. Am I right on that or am I wrong on that?
Correct. When a landowner sells, I mean, they go through the MUSA process. We're looking for that density to go north. If they never sell,
But if they came back to us and said they have a developer who's gonna pay them X amount of dollars for land, but he's only gonna build on 2.5 acre or 4 acre lots, he's gonna retain septic, a well, or whatever, and he wants to do it like that, can we still to discuss that, or are we locked in?
they would come forward with a concept plan and the city would review it at that time.
We wouldn't be locked into anything.
Yeah. All this does is take one side off the table and give us a little more option, all right? But what I'm telling you is the sky is not gonna fall here. You know, I moved down here for the rural fact too. I've got a picture on my phone of a bald eagle on a tree back of my house. I've got deer running in there, I've got horses over there. I love it all, I love it. And I started building out here 25 plus years ago in Andover and seeing what's happened in Andover over the years. 34,000 population and 4 or 5 of everything. But that's not what we want here. What we're saying is growth is an engine for a lot, and what it does is it provides a demand for services and product, and then you have businesses that want to supply that demand and product, service and product, if it's justifiable to them to make a profit. Quick Trip is moving in here not because of 7,663 people that live here, for 11,000 cars that go down that road every day. Do I Santee, whatever. That's why they're here. They're not here because we just want them here. You know, it's like people say to me all the time, and other council members, you know, we want this and we want that. We'd love to get all that. But they just don't come here just because you want them. They come here to say, can we get a return on investment? Will there be a business for us and a viable way of making a living? I understand all that. All we're saying is, there's no plans for Musa way to the end of your property, sir, at all. And again, it all dictates on what you're gonna do. If a developer approaches you, if you're even willing to sell, how it comes down to that level. And it has to go through the process between community development, planning and zoning, public hearings, and council at that time. So it's a long ways away, if ever. If ever.
Answering this question, you change it from urban to rural, or however, rural to urban.
Okay.
What happens to the tax base? Because now you've opened up a whole can of worms where this was farm to rural, and now it's urban. It has a total different distinction between the two. Can you answer that question? What happens with that?
It's not really urban though, unless the developer develops.
Could I clarify a little bit?
Please,
about
please,
urban,
Beth,
rural,
please,
wild,
please,
cities?
please.
I feel like we're talking a little bit past each other. So first of all, wild and scenic management plan defines the rivers in 3 ways: wild, scenic, recreational. The river in St. Francis is scenic the whole way through. All of it is scenic. In the Rum River Management Plan itself, which is part of the wild and scenic rules, it specifies certain areas as urban, which means that those are the areas that in 1978 were either had city utilities or were close to getting them. Most of the cities that are along this corridor, all of those are exempted or urban. That's the term we're using. It's not a great term, but that's the term we're using. The rest of the areas are what falls under the regular Rum River Management Plan, which are considered kind of rural lands. Again, not urban in the sense of, you know, downtown Minneapolis. That's not what we're trying to convey. But those are the words that are being used as terms. Hopefully that clears up a little bit, at least the terminology we're using.
So then the tax base structure doesn't change, is what you're saying.
So I think she's talking about zoning versus the overlay district.
Oh,
And then the financial impact. So it's not rezoning your property, it's changing the overlay district the DNR has, restricting your property and loosening that up. So if you have agricultural land, it'll still be zoned as agricultural land.
Okay.
And taxes, the taxes aren't affected by the river district, and they won't change due to the river district. Until you choose to use the land differently, nothing changes as it is today.
It just allows for it if that were to come in fruition. Let's say, for instance, Darwin, you had a health issue with your family or something happened that you can't foresee today, and that happened to you, that you had that ability to sell that land for a good chunk of money that would help your family long term. You would have that option to do that. This way you don't. That's all it is. And you know, let me just give you an example here. This city, in my opinion, and other council members' opinion, because we ran together 3 years ago, about the Isanti land purchase that was brought up earlier. 183 acres that we bought for way more than it cost. what baffled us was it was bought in an area of all agricultural land and septic a well. What development was gonna come there, I have no idea. They have nobody in mind, or unless you know something we don't. But
Well, it was originally bought because they had the grandiose plan that they were gonna build, and the sewer plant couldn't handle it.
Right, the pond system.
So they were gonna put in a new plant up
Just,
there.
no, they were gonna put in more ponds, by the way.
Yeah, they were gonna put in the old style sewer plant up there, and supposedly about 800 homes to it.
Supposedly. And today, 12 years later, we're at a point where we're getting ready to put it on the market to sell it. So was a mistake made back in '07? Absolutely.
Well, and, you know, I mean, there's lots of options to be done with that land, and that's another discussion.
Well, I'd love you to bring forth those options to us, but I'm just saying to you.
I mean, a solar farm would pay for itself.
Well, we have been working on solar discussion. I will tell you this, that in our opinion, for the amount of money they paid, which was exorbitant to begin with, for no development in near sight. In other words, they had no developer saying, I'll put 400 homes up there if you can give me this land now. 12 years later, there's no development. It was all ag land and septic a well. So I can tell you right now, these two gentlemen on this side, they ran with me at that time. If we would have been here along with our community development director and our city administrator, I can tell you the discussions we've had, that would have never been done, period. That was a mistake done, and we have to pay for it now. But again.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of that over the last 20 years, but we don't have to rehash that.
And those people are living well in Florida, so.
Yeah. They're not around here now.
Well, some are, some aren't.
But you understand, and I don't want to beat the horse, but you just understand that as soon as you do something like a variance or whatever, it just opens the door to the next step. And you got to admit, that's a big concern.
The possibilities, yes, it does. I mean, I'm not going to say that the possibilities won't exist. That's one of the reasons of trying to get it. But, you know, what's good in life is flexibility and options. I mean, that's the nice thing to have.
And I don't have a problem with pursuing a variance of some type because of what can happen. I think the city has made a great mistake going as far as they did for their requests. 70-foot lots, 75-foot setbacks.
Well,
you know,
those are the standards. We can't rewrite the district of
I
urban
understand
setbacks.
that those are standards, but I mean, you're talking a variance.
Right.
You could ask a variance. You know, when we were just talking about you know, Riverbank Lane and stuff.
Yes.
You float down the river and take a look. Okay, and nothing against anyone who lives there, but you know, it's no longer seen.
We're trying not to open Pandora's box.
Right. And that's what
right? So you have urban and you have rural, and you have setbacks for either one.
Right.
Now we can't. I love the 150 feet setback, but I can't change the setbacks on urban or rural until we get a variance. You see what I'm saying? The setbacks are set based on the policies of urban and rural.
But if
it's rural, it's 150 feet.
I understand.
If it's urban, it could be this close. We're not saying we're going to push houses up 75 feet from the river. We're not saying that. We don't even have the option right now.
But if somebody wants that land or buys that lot, you know as well as I do, you know where
it has to come through all the processes of the policies.
I understand that.
I mean, I'll give you an example. You drive down by the library on 7th and Bunker, okay?
Yeah.
And you cross underneath that block where the wind tunnel is. Those lots there are way back. I lived back there for quite a while, and those lots are set way back, okay? Those are $900,000 plus houses there, and they're way back. So, you know, what I'm saying to you is, what we're looking for is the option. What hasn't been done here and what's needed to be done in any place, I believe, is well-planned, sensible, responsible growth. Not just putting homes in for home's sakes or putting shovels in the ground just for shovel's sakes. Some things have been done here in the past. Little haste makes waste. Instead of taking a couple steps backward for every step forward, we didn't think about that. Now we are thinking like that and trying to be responsible and hearing what you as a public stated. I can tell you for example here, that when I sat in the audience for 2 years along with these two gentlemen and these staff members that were here, there was a clock here that was put on here for 3 minutes. And that's all you had, 3 stinking minutes to talk. state your name and address, and if you're feeling comfortable talking, you were looking at the clock more than you were bringing up your point, okay? So I'm just telling you that they gave you the ear to listen, but did they hear you? I talked to them about issues that we talked about the wastewater issue. We didn't want them to build a plant that big. We knew a mechanical activated system was the right way to go, just to not that capacity. They didn't listen to anybody, listen to the experts. Those experts are gone. We replaced them with better experts. And we still question our experts, which is our right, like you question us. But the point is, change is hard for people. Progress is a double-edged sword. Some will like it and others won't. But you can't stop the world just because what you want. It's a whole, this is not the rural city of St. Francis or the urban city of St. Francis. This is St. Francis. And we have to deal with what's best for the future of the city at large. That's our job with your help together. And I stated this before over years here. The Mayor's Handbook states, and I read this, believe me, is that it states here, residents working with staff working with council to make a better city. I believe in government for the people and by the people. I fought for that years ago. I still believe for it today. We want your input. But we can't hold up everything just for a few. There's a bigger picture here at stake. We want to be, again, well-planned, responsible, sensible growth.
But that's part of the issue, is that we've been through 3 comprehensive plans since I've been around. And every plan has some different deal of to do with our property. I have never talked to a city personnel about that. Not a single person has contacted us regarding our property. What are your plans? Can you give us some input? Nothing.
Have you seen the St. Francis Forward Plan, by the way?
I was at the first meeting. I helped start that.
Okay.
I put my name, my wife's and I name down. We were never contacted again. We said a couple things that someone didn't like. And we were never contacted again. And I've fought for that, over that, for 25 years.
The St. Francis Forward Plan?
The St. Francis Forward.
Was only put into effect 3 years ago, correct?
Right.
2 or 3 years?
Exactly.
No, just 2 years ago.
Right.
Okay. Under this new council and the council before. Okay.
And I can guarantee you, I wasn't the one contacting people, but I'm sure that because you said something somebody didn't like.
And I don't know if that's the case, and I'm not trying to accuse anyone.
Right, I'm just saying though that I don't believe that.
But every time I
staff
brought an
operates
issue up regarding a concern I have or whatever, I get the lip service. And then that's all I hear.
Right, but you understand, we also have our email addresses, council members, and phone numbers. You can call us, and we do return your phone calls and emails and whatnot. Ma'am, I also want to tell you, as a builder, I can tell you, realtors never trust a realtor. Okay, I can tell you that. I can tell you that for a fact. Realtors will tell you.
The last 3 weeks, okay, I
realtors.
gotta say this. So, my house went
No,
up
really,
for
really,
auction.
nice lady.
Real quick,
Just
in
say it.
2010, my house went up for auction, right? It was up for auction. That's when they did the Ambassador Trust, okay? Talking about the state, right? So it went up for auction. And Darcy knows exactly where I'm going with this. It went up for auction. Uncle bought it. He dies 5 years later. My house goes into probate. I have to buy it out of probate, right? How long do you all keep records? And I'm saying this to help you right now, because right now I am in such a freaking mess. And you say just go to the city, it's easy to contact us, right? Last week, I went to the city, because I was told water and sewer city, went to the city. I was told, don't, you have to go to the police station, because that's where whatever is. So I went to the city, then that nice young lady says, I'm so sorry, I can't help you with that, you have to talk to Darcy, and she's at the city. I go to the city and they're like, you just missed her, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow.
Then, ma'am, I can tell you one thing. Then you know what? The buck stops with me and these 5.
Really?
So
Because they wanted to charge.
I can tell you, this is my 3rd year, and I can tell you, and these people know this. I research and due diligence everything that's brought to my attention. I may not be able to give you the answer you want to hear, but I will give you a truthful, honest research answer, as each one of these people will do up here. And I can just say to you about realtors once again. Realtors are salespeople. I've dealt with them for 25 years, and I can tell you, they show up, they put you on the MLS, they come there at a commission sold closing, they get their money and they leave. That's the way it is today. That doesn't mean, I would still go to a better resource than just them to understand, because they're there to make a sale, and they'll tell you what you want to hear. We hear this from people all the time, that we're not told about the water rates increases here, or the water rates since the new plan came in, and we're told about that, they weren't told about easements, whatever.
That's the whole reason why I said you can't hold them accountable for what they're telling these people that are buying these
But
houses.
you don't have to believe or end with them. Call the developer up, the builder, whatever.
I did.
And they still gave you the same answer?
They told me it was up to the city. So then when I called the city, they said it was 150 was the regulation. So I'm like, okay, fine. Well then, it was like the next year, they started building right on the river, and I'm like, what the hell what is going on? And then by that time, they're already building, because it was like 3 houses just started building all at one time. And they're already building, the lot's already sold. What do? There's nothing you can do, it's already done, mine is done. There's nothing you can do, and it's like, not the builder's fault, because they just sold the land. There's nothing you can do.
Let me clarify something with you, Kate. This council came into effect in 2017, the first one, and now my second term. When did Rum River Bluffs come in to begin?
The second phase was approved in 2016. The first phase went in.
And that is one of the questions, that's one of the concerns. I've read 15 years with a package that said 2 years in advance, so I can tell you, were mistakes made? Yes. What I call it government light. Easy way out on pretty much everything, short meetings. We have longer meetings. We have 2 meetings open to the public. We took that clock out. We've done so many things. We've done road programs. We don't have assessments anymore on reconstruction of roads. We plan ahead. We look out 20, 25 years. We do some things that are different. Do we have a lot more work to do? Yes. Are there mistakes to be made? Yes. And will be made? Yes. But we hope to correct those mistakes. What we have, one of our biggest problems here is we're correcting mistakes like Burbank in the making for 26 years since 1992. We didn't create the problem, we just came up with a solution. So all I'm saying to you is, one of the things I've been trying to work on along with this council is trust. Because if you trust us, you'll work better with us. And that's something that hasn't been here. I moved here and I got to run around on traffic. I got every BS excuse that could have been put out there. I always thought that some of the people giving those excuses should have written books on excuses. But the point being is, we're not like that anymore. So what I'm saying to you is, if you don't get an answer one way, you can contact these 5 people. And
But
these
as
5
a
people
resident, you don't know the problem until it occurs. Like you guys did my culvert 10 years ago, and when my driveway now floods, and you know what I was told by the city? We didn't do it, another county did it. So.
Ma'am, I wasn't here 10 years ago, I can't
I
address
know
it.
you weren't, that's what I'm saying.
I
But
can
then
only,
was
I can
told
only
the
change
county-
what is and what's forward. That's all I can do.
What?
I can only change what's now and going forward.
But that's why I'm here today, because those can't be fixed, they're already done, and I'm told it happened. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's what I was told when that happened in the back of my yard. And so I'm just like, okay, then I'm just gonna be at every single meeting now.
And that's what, and we like you to be at every meeting. What we don't like is when you don't show up, because that doesn't, we need you to help us help you. That's how that works.
I agree.
That's how government works.
I want to say I commend you on not having a 3-minute clock and allowing people to have good back and forth. And the one thing that you hit on is trust, and that's part of the thing is, how do we know we can trust you that, you've got plans and I can see where you want to have the reclassification and variance that I don't think a couple families want to ever use. Yeah, it would be a nice option and that, but I don't think even family wants to use it. I can kind of understand that. The only thing I'd say is that there are ways to rezone part of the land and keep more of the natural buffer on the river for perpetuity that wouldn't be quite so intrusive to development and that. Because
Right, and all we're looking at, right.
And that's where, it's like Darwin says some of the problem with the section of the river and that, and why it's so far back is because you made him combine those parcels. And it sounds like he's willing to talk about that some maybe.
And just to let you know is that the city, we want to promote the river. We talked about it in our St. Francis Forward Plan.
It's a great resource.
Right, it's a great resource, like an historical site. Those are 2 things that are really great for promoting the city. We want that. We don't want to have, over pollution. Like for instance, with Riverbank right now, we're instead of having, when we first saw Riverbank with the culverts plugged up and the ditches and everything, we saw all that running into the river. Now we're going to put in a sediment basket to get that stuff not going in the river. We're going to again a retention pond for instance with the wastewater treatment facility. We have a $24 million state-of-the-art facility run with our public works people that same way. We actually process the water, our effluent that goes in the Seeley Brook, which is a tributary of the Rum River, cleaner than what's in the Seeley Brook. That's how responsible we are. Do I think it should have it be been built as big as it is? No. It could have been built smaller with expansion. We tried to make them aware of it, but the 5 people up here before were not listening. It fell on deaf ears. So once again, we came in here, we took the clock out. We have 3 rules in our meetings. Common respect, common courtesy, leave your anchor at the door. Work with us to work with you for a better city. That's what we're doing here. This is no backhanded anything. This is nobody trying to do anything, pull wool over your eyes. Because at the end of the day, if the 5 owners and landowners don't sell that land, it will never be developed. It just puts an option on the table to maybe have that happen. So I'd like to tell you, Darwin, that you'll be healthy for the rest of your life, and I wish that upon you. But things do change. Trust me. I know that from my own life. I know it for a fact in my own life, things do change, not the way you want them to, okay? So that's what this is about. It's nothing backdoor or shady or whatever. We want to have, again, well-planned, sensible, responsible growth is what we want. We want to have our cake and eat it too if we can. But one thing I do know is, if we don't get the variance, we'll have limited growth, and the things that people want won't happen. We'll keep trying for them, but without the population to demand the services and product that are supplied by those businesses, we won't get them.
Yeah, that's a big balancing.
That's a big balance.
balance.
And it wasn't done here before. Like I say, we sat in the audience for 2 years, listening to people up here that weren't listening. And that's the problem. And now to build up that trust and respect have to be earned. Once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. We are trying to do that in a responsible way. That's what we're doing. Okay. Anything else you have to say, Kate, at this time?
Mayor and Council, unless there's a specific question, I have nothing more to add.
I will ask one more question here. On the argument or the concern rather of mailings here, I know we put it on the Facebook page and everything, but did the 66 people, not get the same information that the rest of the people in the city got? And if so,
All
why
the
not?
information redirected to the city and DNR website ultimately.
But they would
There
have
was additional information with maps in the city mailings than there was in the DNR. But it all.
And those maps were also on our Facebook page and our city website, I believe.
Yeah, we tried to make it available to everybody, but it wasn't mailed to everyone directly.
Okay. Well, I would suggest in the future, by the way, to create less of an argument or a concern. Any mailing to one area should get the same mailing to other areas.
So just in my defense.
And I know it's
because I made the
expense.
decision, The DNR only required us to send it to 66 people, and I thought we should send it to more.
I know, and I agree with that, but I'm just saying to you, as far as they're concerned, they should have gotten full disclosure is the only way to be. We ran on accountability, transparency, and responsibility, and that's what we ran on, that's what we have to keep. So I would have to agree that on that concern, I agree with all you people too.
And that kind of makes
Stakeholders, fire outreach, whatever is described in whatever the DNR says.
Right, but if you look at the city.
Stakeholders go a lot further.
Right,
So
but if you look at the
forward.
city, right, but if you look at the city at large,
Right.
it does concern us all. Because once
Right.
again, this is not the rural city of St. Francis or the urban city of St. Francis,
Right.
it's St. Francis. You know, in 1977, we were approximately 897 people. It took us 49 years to go over 6,670 people. I will be thrilled if in the next 5 to 10 years we can reach 10,000. Because to me, 10,000 is like that magical number, you know, like 100,000 miles on a vehicle that starts losing trading value. Well, 10,000 is like that number, businesses start looking at you, okay? I doubt we'll see 12,500 in the next 25 years. I will be long gone, okay? But what I'm saying to you is, if we can gain another 2,300 people here, we can do it responsibly, well-planned, and we can have a little bit of our cake and eat it. We can do that together.
And I don't think anybody's arguing the fact that growth is not an issue. It's the way it goes, you know, it's the way it was brought about to be. So, I think it's a learning experience for everybody.
Absolutely.
Learning and teaching.
And I've always said you got 30 seconds to make a first impression, and maybe some of that impression we just didn't do that well. You know, we are human, we make mistakes too. The thing with the mistake is you can either learn from it and not repeat it, or you repeat it. Hopefully we correct and don't repeat.
If you learn from it, it was a mistake.
That's it.
If you didn't learn anything, in that you don't think.
And if you learn something every day, it's a successful day. Well, a good healthy day is a good one. Anyways, do you have anything else to clarify here?
No.
Okay. Any other questions that we can answer for you? We hope we've answered all that we can. And again, you have our numbers and all that. I mean, I'm willing to look at anything. I've said all along, I will do a amount for a reasonable request. Unreasonable, I won't. I look at it as an example of B2B and the council, I know for sure. If a small group comes to us with an idea that only benefits a small group with no financing involved in it, we're probably going to be a little more reluctant to go with it. But if a small group comes to us with an idea that will benefit the majority of our residents, that could show us where the funding comes from, we'd be more or apt to look at it in an open way.
Just one question, and this is not even related, it's regarding River Lane. Is the city considering being a little more proactive and installing like rain gardens throughout a development like that, which would allow retention and collection and filtration every other lot? By the time that water got into the retention pond, it wouldn't be running over.
Craig, can you address that?
We're running into the river.
Well, I guess all I can say is the rules
They're not
have,
expensive.
the rules have recently changed then for new development. You do
Okay.
have to infiltrate 1 inch of runoff over the impervious area. Whether that's in rain gardens or back.
I mean, it's a very simple product. My son lives in Egan. They had a terrible problem. All the lakes in Lebanon Mills Park were green, nasty, and no one went near them. They spent millions of dollars to retrofit all their sewer systems. And they put a rain garden in every other lot because that's wherever there was a storm sewer drain. And it's not big, it's 4 by 6, whatever. 2 years, people are swimming and fishing in those lakes. So.
It does work.
I mean, I got 3 of them at my property by a lake. And it's such a simple process, and in the whole scheme of things, it's so inexpensive. I question why all these developments as they go in aren't required to do something like that, or strongly suggested. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything written in code,
But again, both the new developments have to infiltrate, and they are infiltrating the first 1 inch of runoff. They're not rain gardens, they're in infiltration basins that are in the backyards. But that requirement is.
and it's a similar process.
Correct.
We get mosquitoes, but.
That's nice to know.
Well, thank you for bringing it up. I just also want to mention
Just a thought, you know.
that being proactive and preemptive saves a lot of headaches and problems down the road. We know we're going to have problems always. It's just a matter of pitching those problems a little lighter so we can solve them quicker and with less expense. Also, as we mentioned in other work sessions we've had, any city that doesn't look 20, 25 years out is making a mistake. You have to look farther out, plan for the future. You have to. Things change. That's just the way life is. Maybe not the way you want it to change, but it changes. So your input is very helpful and beneficial and necessary for us to make the right decisions here. What we have found in the past is some decisions were made in haste, and haste always makes waste. Always. So thank you. I think on that, does council have anything to say on this? I can leave it to you people. Sarah, I mean, I think you pretty much can get involved anytime you want.
Well, I do want to just thank the people who did. I did have a few people call me this morning, and one of the questions that was asked was, can we keep the current setbacks but still support the density? Another person asked about an environmental study. But the people that I heard from, you know, they were not for this. Of course, they didn't have all this information that was provided tonight too. So I hope that I did encourage them to attempt to watch the meeting. Hopefully our sound is okay. But if your questions did not get answered, please call me back. Call any of us. We'll happily help you. That's what you put us in office for, and I'm happy to.
On one of the mailings we got, I got one from the DNR, from the city and everything. But on that, there was no explanation of anything. For all I knew, all this stuff was gonna start next month. You know, and I mean, you're sitting there
The
going,
wording was very poor. It was real.
you know, 2 to 7 dwellings per acre. I'm thinking, well, my God, that's gonna be 3,000 some homes, plus your traffic of, she says she's got 5 cars at her place, you're gonna be looking at 10,000 vehicles a day.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you know, mistakes get made, you try to do the best you can, but, you know, we are human, and the human factor is always in play. And like I say again, ma'am, you know, if you're getting the runaround, then come to us. The buck stops with us, and we can do the runaround and give you an answer. I mean, I can tell you right now, I've done it more than once along with these gentlemen here. We will do the due diligence and research, get back to you. Again, I may not be able to give the answer you want to hear, but I will give you a truthful research answer. I can swear by that because I've done it many times. Honesty is the best policy. We're not trying to skirt anything around here. We're trying to govern for you the best we can with what we have. That's all we can do. Rob, do you have anything to say?
Were you
I just want, I want the residents to understand about the setbacks and the definition between the setbacks of rural versus urban. We're not changing those policies. With this, I lost the word. With this variance, with the variance, we're looking at it as a whole. That doesn't mean that when a developer comes in, the city can't set strategic setbacks. If an area looks and needs to be 300 feet back, that's what we'll decide to do. If we can go 75 feet closer and hide them from the river, that's what we'll do. Like the mayor said, we're here to govern the best we can for all of the people.
We appreciate that.
This variance, I would love to go through the river and ask the DNR for 300 feet around the river and then ask a developer to come in and develop it that way. I don't know that that's going to be the right way to go because the DNR can say, no, we're not going to change where we've set that. If you look at the cities, Cambridge and north of that, whatever that's, it's all purple. So it's already set as urban for them. We're the only city that has a split urban and rural development. We're just trying to get, really, right now, that one little piece that a developer has already purchased and wants to put homes in there, and we want to set them back. We want to do the plan the right way. We can't do that right now without a variance. We can't do that without asking for the whole thing. So that's why I kind of support it, because I know the city can do a lot better this year in 2019 than they made a decision in 1978. So that's how I feel.
And again, that just goes on well-planned, sensible, responsible growth, and working with what's best for the city at large and the nature and every other thing. We want to promote the Rum River. We need to use the Rum River. It's a good plus for us. And again, it's like a historical site. I mean, very few places have that ability to do that. We want to take advantage of it. It's important for us. We have to do it sensibly. So mistakes were made, could have been done better, communication could have been done, it can get better. But that's where we're at right now. Joe, do you have anything to say?
None of that's already been said, other than to call, email. I mean, and I can tell you if you email me, depending on what I got going on in my private life. If I'm working a lot, it might take me a little bit to get back, but I will get back to you. You can always call, leave a message, I'll call you back. My kids in baseball too, so I do get a little busy in the summer and stuff, but I will definitely get back to everybody that emails me or calls.
Kevin?
I want to thank everybody's involvement who came tonight, and I did receive calls from some constituents this morning as well. Both of them were concerned that they were given a script to send to the DNR. They wanted to be known to the public that they have their own thoughts and processes, and they wanted to digest the information. They would send a letter pro or con to their choosing, not to what the city wanted, which I can appreciate. I also want everybody to know that I respect property rights. Again, the gentleman says he may never sell it. That may come to fruition. You may never sell. But if you do, some of these things are in play. I'm also, as I said last week, the other gentleman put words in my mouth, which I did not say. I was for the scenic wildlife portion, not that the city can expand their utility base. That's not. I didn't say that at all. But there's checks and balances in play here. The DNR is in play. We as the city is in play. We can increase the buffer, I would imagine. The DNR gives you a baseline. We can go even farther. If this comes to a certain time when a development should come in, we can actually increase it. I would think it would be within our power. I could be corrected on that. But again, it's just for the future. You got to plan. It's either we stay small and rural, and again, everybody moved out here, including myself. I went from 9 acres down to 7 acres, and again, I like looking at eagles and I like the wildlife, and it's just awesome to be here. My grandkids get to see it as well. So the bottom line is there's checks and balances, and people involvement makes change, and change can be for the better or the worse, but involvement is the key thing, and I'm really glad to see it.
I just one quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there any way that when things like this come up, or when a developer comes in and wants to do something, that the residents can get a little earlier notice so that we can actually give you some input, more constructive input?
I would
Usually
say-
we're at the planning and zoning, and they're ready to say yes or no on the first phase.
Yeah.
Well, by then, we may have 2 or 3 ideas that maybe were completely different that might help, you know? I mean, especially when you got land being developed next to you or whatever.
So you're saying just ahead of like a P and Z, a little better earlier?
Well,
notification.
yeah, I mean, you know, once the developers met with the city and you've got kind of a rough outline of a plan, you know, those that are affected right in that vicinity, yeah, they say, hey, you know, this is what's coming. You got any thoughts or input that might help us, you know?
Okay.
Mayor and Council, when an application is received for a development, it first goes through the concept phase. So that is the informal stage when anybody can comment. It's the early input from both planning and zoning and council that is always within the packets, which is public. The part in which the notices go directly to all property owners within the 300 feet is the preliminary plat stage. But that stage 2 is the public hearing. It allows for any comment, and it is prior to the final being drafted. So there are 2 opportunities before a final plat, which
And how do we notify them? By mail then, or how do we do it?
at the preliminary plat, everybody is directly mailed if they're contiguous within that 350.
Prior to that, unless you're constantly.
Well, and I think too, and I think there is some personal accountability on us as residents as well, which I wasn't involved at all until I got the mailing in for an insane increase on my water bill, and I'm like, what's going on here? And that's when my involvement started, and then myself and the mayor here started attending every meeting. Do I want to be here every Monday night when when I wasn't on the council? No, but if that's what you have to do, I mean, there is something that I think, it's public, it's on the website, you can check it from once in a while, and nobody wants to do that, I get that. But if you want to be involved, it sucks, but that's what it takes. I think there are some things that we have to take accountable to, because what I've found being on the council too, this might not be very popular, but a lot of people want to be spoon-fed. And it's just not realistic. I mean, I have a full-time job outside of this as well. I have kids in sports, I have things that I do too and then also we have to stay abreast with staff and all this stuff too. So it's like, we do have staff, but unless we're gonna, it would be an insane, just a huge micromanagement, just a huge task to try to do that. So, I do encourage, I've been trying to get involvement from a lot of people, and usually when you get it is when somebody sees something and is pissed off, unfortunately.
And what he's saying is like, it's like you have, again, our email addresses on the website, you have our phone numbers, you can write us and discuss it. We have many other people do that in negative ways as well as positive ways. And this is a tough job here. If the government like doesn't work, if you want 100% out, you got to put 100% in. It doesn't guarantee you 100% out. I can tell you that. One of the things that's frustrating for us, by the way, is the Facebook pages. That people put stuff out on the keyboards. I can't tell you how many times I had a dollar every time I tell people, come to a city council meeting, call us, talk to us, work with us. But they go on there and they punch this and punch that and body. And at the end of the day, a little problem has become now a huge firestorm, and we have to try to work that down. We've been doing that for 3 years, going on 3 years now, and it happened with our first campaign. I had people saying that I did this and I did that and whatever. None of it true, but people read it and ate it. Okay? So I'm just saying to you, again, I believe the mayor's handbook is correct. Residents working with staff, working with council for a better city. We need your input. We want your input. You heard me say tonight how many times I asked for out for input, from Riverbank. I want you to talk. We want you to talk. It's your time. Talk to us. Tell us what's on your mind. I don't read minds. I wish I did. I'd be a billion, trillion, zillion.
You might not want to.
Maybe not.
You started them, you had a hard time getting the first guy to come up,
Yeah.
and then it was just one after another.
I have a tendency to push people a little
So it's kind of surprising to see that go from, geez, isn't anyone going to talk to?
And by the way,
That comes from us sitting out there
Yes.
and getting
that.
one opportunity, and we
So
want
you
to
do.
make sure.
Because I'll give you an example here. We've seen in the 2 years we sat in the audience, and I know you both testify this, all of us can, by the way, is that when an open hearing happened, if there was no response, bang, meeting closed. Just like that. I mean, you've seen it or not, within 2 minutes, meeting closed. Nobody pushed anybody to talk, nobody wanted anybody to talk. We want your input. We want you to feel, look, this is your city, it's our city. We're taxpayers just like you. We pay the MS4, we just do everything you do. We don't get any break here. I mean, if I took the amount of time I put in, and these people put in, for what we get paid, we're paying you to work here. So it's not about that, it's about the city we care about.
Sounds good.
I should go get a go meet one.
But on that mailing, it said, about land development. Now, she said that if you're within 300 feet, you'll get a notice on that. Why not notice everybody? Because everybody's concerned with it, whether it be for roads, sewer.
No, I think the city went by what the DNR request.
Yeah, but that's, to me as a citizen, and I said, boy, what a shyster way to put that through.
Well, I have to agree with that, but we did it on a broader scale. But you know what? We did get younger. And we got other people hopefully on the camera and all that, and on video seeing this going on. I've been on my Facebook page, St. Francis Post, talking to people, trying to clarify some things and all that. We're here, again, trust has to be earned. And we've lost it here. Again, as we stand in the audience and heard people say, I've heard people say in the government, tough being you attitude, that is BS. I mean, it's not about tough being you. It's about working with people, coming out of your shoes, seeing it from a different perspective. We see it from that perspective where you sit, now we see it up here. And we are trying to make changes for the good. Have we done a lot of work? Yes. Do we have a lot more work to do? Yes. One of the things we also did, just so that you know, is we bought a program called Planet Software that allows us to look out 10, 20 years for capital equipment. So now our department has noticed that when they come to us requesting an item, it has to be budgeted for unless it's an emergency. That's the only thing that can get funded. They can't come up here and just say, well, I forgot to put this in the budget, can I get this? That doesn't happen anymore, and they can all testify that. They work off of Planet Software, they budget things for 3 years down the road, and that's how it works. 10 to 25 years out, we do that now. It was a program that's been in 84 cities around since 1998. We became the 85th city. That's how we did it. You got to open your mind up and be open-minded. I've always said, 5 open-minded people at a discussion will give you 1 or 2 things: a solution to a problem or a direction to the solution. But you got to be open-minded and talk. That's what we hope we've done here today. Thank you once again for all your time. And I think now we have to move on to this meeting so my staff can go home. So, anyways, thank you once again. Anybody else, Barb? I think that's about it. Okay. Now we're going to move on to reports. Paul, I think you're up.
Mayor and council, I just go through my 5-page report line by line.
You don't think I get home tonight?
As you can see in our wastewater report, our results, our test results of our limits that we're monitoring are very good. 100% removal. You can see that our locates are increasing, which is ground thawing. Builders are starting back up, construction starting back up. So we had 72 requests there. The one thing I do want to emphasize a little bit on is you see 2 lift stations that were plugged last month. There's been comments before that it's a rag or a couple of rags that are plugging in pumps. I just want to try and put that in perspective a little bit. Last week we had our large back trucks out, contractor hired to come out with our larger lift station, backing them out. What we're seeing out there in just say a 10 by 12 space is about 1.5 foot thick mat of rags, feminine products, male products that are all stuck together and floating in grease and air on top of these lift stations above the pumps. I know it's gross, I know it's horrifying to think about, but your garbage, can't be flushed. Don't flush whites. I'll say it again, if it didn't come out of you and it's not toilet paper, don't flush it. It's expensive to have these back trucks out, clean these out, but it's the only way we can do it to keep those pumps from plugging. So it's important. We got to make sure that people understand that those rags don't flush them. It's not your toilet is not your garbage can.
The other thing to hit on here, March was a busy snowplow month. Also important in March was the fact that we went out and cleared probably over 240 catch basins prior to the rain that we did receive when we were having the rain, snow, flooding issues.
That helped a lot. That was very good.
We tried to be as preventive and preemptive with that as possible, and I think we'll see it. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Well, I just want to add to your comment, and I know I've said this to you before. I happened to watch a TV show recently on one of the TV stations, and I know some of the staff has heard this, but I will tell you for the video and everybody else the 4 P's, and that is potty, poop, puke, and paper are the only things allowed to go down that toilet. Otherwise, you'll have the problems you're discussing. So just remember the 4 P's, and you will be fine. I didn't make that up. That wasn't on a TV, on a news show. So very simple and very to the point.
You need to read more, Mayor.
And honestly, I read a lot. Okay, I will hand this over to Kevin. Anything to say with his report?
No, I really don't. I had attended the Lions Easter egg festivities. 2 days ago, and it was well attended. They do an awesome job. They did all the ages and different stages, and it was organized and run very well. And they should be given kudos for our small community. The Lions are always, and I mean always, stepping up and doing something. And with again 6 doing the work of 60, they are them. There's the same group of people that show up, and if you've got time on your hands and whatnot, and you want to be part of the community even more so, that's an easy job. The Lions, I can't, and I'm not getting paid for this. They need people, and it's a good deal. I mean, our town, they do a lot of good here, a lot of underground stuff that you don't hear about, and stuff doesn't just happen. They're raising money, and the money's going back in the community, so it's awesome. Other than that, I just want to say I can really appreciate the mayor's passion for the job. I want to keep things in perspective. I did hear tonight referenced 3 different times that these gentlemen, pointing to him left and right, have done this and done that. We are a body of 5, and again, I can appreciate your passion, but we are a voting body of 5 that are here for the work and for the good of the city. And I just want to keep that in perspective, that we're still all independent thinkers, and I know you know these guys better, and again, I appreciate your passion, but Sarah and I, we're not greenhorns anymore, and this isn't our first rodeo. The Lord knows she's put plenty of time in civic duty as well. So, other than that, that's all I have.
I didn't mean it like that, though, by the way. I meant it only because the time frame they were talking about was only us.
No, understood.
It doesn't mean Sarah wasn't involved from the gallery, but she was involved with us, but we were at this stage. Now you are, and the 5 is whole. Okay? But I was just really asking for your comment on the public works.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Sorry. No, that's fine. I think we can all say that. Do you have any questions on the public works report?
No.
Sarah? Joe? Okay, very good. Once again, thank you so much. Now we can move on to council member reports. Kevin's already talked, so Joe, we'll move on to you.
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. Sarah?
I just was outside yesterday and I got to meet one of our new meter readers. He was actually out yesterday doing some rereads, and unfortunately my house was one again where he stood there and showed me, and it's not linking to my account. So, but it was nice to meet him. You know, of course I'm out there and I just asked him, I'm like, are you with the old company or the new company? He just looked at me, and I'm like, so then I introduced myself as one of the council members, and he said, well, make sure you let them know that we're out here trying. So, very friendly, explained some things to my neighbor who had some questions, and so I thought that was great that.
I didn't know they started.
Yeah, so.
Rob?
I just want to add, April 23rd, there's going to be a MnDOT communication engagement open house at the St. Francis Baptist Church, 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. Let's get as many residents there to talk about different ideas on the corridor.
Yes.
That's all I
That's
have.
on St. Francis Boulevard, 29th, I think it is there.
Yep.
Okay.
That's on the website.
Yeah. That's on the website. Hold your cursor on our community, and then there's a link right there to what's going on. Okay? Is that fine?
That's it.
Okay. I want to say to you, I'm glad you brought that up, but Recycling Day is, I love that day. I work that day with the people and they do a great job. But it's on April 27th, Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I'm always marveled at the amount of tires and stuff that people bring in. But we get it off the streets and get it out of backyards. It's a good thing. So recycling is always a good time, and the staff does a great job. So that's a good day. Also, April 27th, National Drug Take Back Day at the St. Francis Police Department and Goodrich Pharmacy, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those are great things to do. Anything else on the council? Any other further business? I know you're waiting for me to hit this gavel, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to do this at 9:16. Thank you.